Hello and welcome to a Bergkamp Wonderland and Arsenal podcast. I'm Gunnar Gimli and it's great to be back. Joining me on tonight's show we have, first up, he's recovered from his poorly body to grace us with his presence once again. It's Danny the GFP. Hello, Danny.
I didn't have a poorly body, I had poorly kidneys.
Do you know what? I've actually named the write-up for this pod Daddy's Tin Guts. I couldn't be further from the truth, could I?
I'll let you know, I had a magnificent sample this afternoon. I told you what it looked like.
You did?
And it was a thing of beauty, and I've shaped it into 3 chess pieces that I will put in the post ASAP.
Is that a competition prize for somebody?
It could well be.
Wonderful. I mean, there's plenty to look forward to on ABW. Right, next up, another panellist we welcome back into the fold after a short absence. It's Gooner Girl Kate. Hello, Kate.
Hello.
You're only just downstairs.
I am only just downstairs.
And how the devil have you been?
Well, not too bad. Not too bad, you know. Getting along.
Is it good to be back?
Yeah, it's good to be back. It's been a while now for both of us.
I know, but we're rocking it again. Next up, player manager for the Barnum Pirates, radio show host and full-time budget Jesus. Where does he find the time? It's Kris Carpenter. Hello, Kris.
Hello, mate. Less of the player these days. The body ain't what it used to be, I'm afraid.
I checked the Pirates Twitter. I saw that gut on you. Jesus, wept.
I did weep. I have been weeping for many months.
It's no wonder you're not hanging out your arse by about the 10th minute. I would be.
I do
hanging
that.
out of Chris's arse.
Not quite
You know.
Oh.
I get tired even managing, to be fair, let alone playing.
That's fair enough. I have noticed, though, a few wins on the cards.
Yeah, absolutely. More on that in a minute.
Yeah, there's more on that in just a second. Right then, starting up his own bike rental company, the details of which can be found on Tinder. It's ABW's ladies' man. It's Andrew. Hello, Andrew.
Hello, how are you doing, Gimli? Welcome back. I must say I'm honoured to be back, to be invited onto the Gimli and Gunnar Kate reunion pod. So welcome back, guys. I was getting pretty pissed off at poverty Gimli with Ginger Welsh Davis hosting all the time. So
we don't accept imitations.
Oh no, if you're listening, Jace, you were awful. So welcome back, Gimli. Welcome back, Kate. It's good to have you both back.
He did
I
Raj,
should say, before we carry on this podcast, we've had Kris do one, we've had Jason Schrader do one, we've had old Welshie down there, Davies do one, and I said Kris, didn't I?
And Reverend Raj.
And Raj has done one as well, the Rev, and I've listened every week, and you've been absolutely fantastic.
Shit,
I was actually starting to think that my hosting seat was well and truly stolen. It would have been taken apart and handed out to each of you. But right, I'm waffling. And finally, making his debut, we have the man who's cut his teeth on our radio show. It's Tom Canton. Hello, Tom.
Hi, you alright?
Yeah, not too bad at all. It's a pleasure to have you on. I've heard you on the radio show, and you've been very, very good indeed.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. I'll try my best. That's all I can do.
Have the nerves kicked in yet?
They kicked in as soon as you asked me to come on, to be honest.
Fair enough. Well, there's nothing to be worried about. We will edit it, and like I said to you earlier, unless we find it funny, then it will just be left in the show.
And are we leaving the gunfire in the background because he's in Shottingham?
You do not let that drop.
Right
like
then.
A fucking war zone.
We'll move on. Over to you, Danny, for all of the Arsenal scores across the board.
Righty ho, my love. Arsenal under-21s 1, Brighton under-21s 0. Iwobi in the 48th minute, his 9th goal of the season. Gnabry played the full 90 minutes, good, which is the under-21s have missed a lot of the first team players that had been getting their fitness through there, so I think that's the first win in about 6. We're now 6th in Division 2, which is a fucking disgrace. Arsenal under-18s 1, Southampton under-18s 2. Some bloke called Donovan, I think it might be Landon,
Jason.
Jason Donovan, yes, scored for our under-18s, and the bloke who scored both of the goals for Southampton was a bloke called Harley Willard, who used to be one of our youth players, so thank you very much, you backstabbing shitbag. We are now bottom of the second phase group after finishing second bottom of the regular season. We might as well just give up with youth football at Arsenal, because none of them are ever going to make it, and it's just a waste of fucking time.
Wow.
But from there, from doing shit to doing brilliant, Chelsea ladies, who are doing the same to ladies football as the men are doing to real football. Real football? Good God, that's terrible. To, what would be the right word to use?
Men's football?
Premier League football. Men's football, yeah. Killing it with money. Arsenal ladies went there, drew 0-0, and that's the first points that Chelsea ladies have dropped all season. So they're first, we're second, and they're doing brilliantly to go there and get a draw. So well done to the ladies. And
I like her. Women on pole. We put her up front for Chelsea.
That's it. With all their blood money.
It's nasty, isn't it?
It's not right.
I understand we've got something from the Pirates as well, Kris.
Yeah, I'll whip through just a couple of bits and bobs. I can't remember the last results Stanley gave, so I'll just rattle through the last couple of weeks. We played Team Carpi a few weeks ago. We won 6-5. We then played Bread and Roses on a Wednesday. We won 3-1. Bread and Roses. It's a pub. Predictably, I would imagine. And then we had a little bit of a blip the day after the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight. We somehow lost a game 9-4. It was mental. But we had a slightly less strong side that day, so that's probably the reason. But half of them were still in bed, I think. And then
in bed on the pitch?
It looked like it.
Should have stacked him up in front of the goal.
Should have really just laid him in front. Yeah. But yeah, we played a sort of not a youth side, but a reserve side for that one, so I can let that one slip. And then last night, we probably rounded off the season. We don't think we got any more now. We played Team Carpi in the reverse fixture against their first team last night and won 4-1. So that's good. We got our end-of-season awards due tomorrow night, which I've been frantically preparing for all week, and that's why I'm so busy and knackered. And then we have a little break. We're just training over the summer. We've got our youngster, our new superstar, Los Santos. That is his real name. 15-year-old wonder kid. And he's signed on now, so we've got him ready for the new season. So all is looking up. All is doing well. And speaking of doing well, a couple of names to give you. Since the last time I was on the pod, we've had a few more very kind donations. I just want to quickly read through these names, which is Kulsata Shrestha. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. John Welsh, friend of the pod, radio host. Richard Adams, Kevin Roberts, Rory Benyon-Gray, Ken Hendrickson and Akshay Baliga, more on him later. They've all been very kind to donate to our cause in the last couple of weeks, so thank you very much to all of you. I know Jason said he would mention them in the last pod, but time got the better of him, so that's no worries. I thought I'd mention you all today, so thank you very much. And for anyone that doesn't know, if you go to barbicanpiratesfc.com/donate, you can have a look at how you can win some lovely match-worn shirts for a small donation, which keeps us alive. So thank you all very much.
Or donate on our site, and that's linked to your site as well.
Absolutely, yeah. You can go to the ABW site as well if you can't find ours.
Don't give him money, you're going to walk the plank.
The draw's open all summer, by the way, so there's plenty of time to still get involved. We won't be drawing the shirt winners until probably the end of July, early August. There's plenty of time, and we're actually only £80, no, actually less now, £60 off of the original target. And as I promised, if we do go past our target, I'll put another shirt from my own personal collection into the draw as well. So there could even be another one on offer.
Yeah, that is only a Fruit of the Loom from 82.
No, it's actually another match-worn one, but it's one from my.
Keep giving it away. They'll give you money for nothing.
No,
they're all idiots.
I'm happy to give it away.
Danny, really, it's lost on you.
Scrooge he is. No, I'll happily.
All the shirts for £1, or you're not having my money.
I'll happily give away stuff.
I'm going to go round your house and smash some bottles up by your front door.
Okay, I'm a back door man.
Oh, God.
I'll leave you beached by the front of your house. Right, we'll start off tonight then by talking about Arsenal's Monday night win away to Hull. A very enjoyable game which saw Arsenal run out 3-1 winners. Sorry. For his take on this game, we're going to go to our debutant, Tom.
It was a very enjoyable match, as you said, and there was some points which I would go to in a moment about how I was a bit concerned, but I thought at first it was going to be a bit cagey, like the Burnley match, a team fighting for relegation, and I thought we were going to grind out a result like we did at Burnley, but very fluent play, passing was excellent, Santi Cazorla was running the show all over the pitch, and Sanchez was making brilliant darting runs behind the defence. I was surprised how high Hull decided to play 3 centre-backs so far up the pitch, which really made it a lot easier for Sanchez to run in behind. But overall, really good game. The only concern I had was we let so many crosses come into the box, which was a concern when we got Aston Villa in the final of the FA Cup, who love to put crosses into Benteke. So that would be my only downside of the match, really.
And Kate, it was a sensational first half. I mean, we went in 3-0 winners at half-time. But what did you make of the second half? Do you think we took our foot off the gas, or we were kind of content at 3-0 and we just let a goal slip?
I think maybe a little bit of they came out and it's like, well, do you know what? We're this far up. We don't need to struggle on and maybe put too much effort into it. Maybe a bit of complacency coming out that much up. But they did what they had to do, and they did let a goal in. But Spina played well.
Indeed he did. And we should mention that St Totteringham's Day came early this year. It's normally something that we have to wait until pretty much the last day of the season. But this year we've been treated to it early, haven't we, Andrew? A relief, surely?
Yeah, it's always good fun to be ahead of Tottenham. And it's always, a bit of banter. Although it is it's in a way it's kind of sad because we're missing out on our Champions League Cup final playoff there on the last game of the season, which as an Arsenal fan has kind of been probably the most exciting game of the season for us in the last few years, hasn't it? We've all
just got some information there. That's 1-1 at Newcastle. Everybody.
Oh, banter.
Top quality.
But I mean, the game itself, I thought, was probably the best. Well, not the best performance. One of the better performances we've seen from Arsenal in a long time. I think coming back to that point there about the difference between the first half and the second half. The second half really, whilst we weren't as pretty in the second half in our football, what really impressed me was how the team were galvanised. So, for example, we saw where Arsenal had been, I think. Probably we can all agree it was a foul on Koscielny for the whole goal. It riled up the team, and we saw some kind of kickback from players like Coquelin, from Koscielny, and we saw the team really sticking up for themselves and putting the boot back in. I'm not necessarily advocating foul play per se, but it's good to see like the old teams. We used to have players who get the game by the scruff of the neck and they'd know where to put a boot in or to come in late and. You can see that's the sign of true winners, and that's what people usually complain about Chelsea about. But Chelsea won the league, so it's good to see that the Arsenal team are now finally standing up for each other. We can do all the pretty stuff, we can play teams off the park, but when it comes down and someone's going to throw their gloves down, we're ready to fight back, which I think is good to see, and it's about time.
And Kris, I'll come to you next. Aaron Ramsey, he's had a lot of criticism in recent years. He had a cracking last season. Some might say that he's gone off the boil a little bit this season, but for me, he was unplayable that first half, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. And the thing with Aaron Ramsey, I mean, again, people sort of forget he's had several injury setbacks this season, which I think Don was making the point on the radio show as well. It affects your momentum. So just when you're getting up to speed and you're getting your form, if you encounter particularly a muscular strain where you're going to miss 4, 5, 6 weeks, it's very hard to then suddenly get your momentum back. Jack Wilshire's had similar problems in the past. So sometimes when players are coming back from injury, you need to give them that little bit of grace. And the fact that the lad's playing a slightly different position as well is full credit to him that he's come back at such a high level. A lot of people seem to sort of say or moan, oh, he's on the right wing. I mean, he's not. He starts in the sky formation on the right, but the truth is, he only really goes to that right hand side when the player's coming down through the centre, and he's an option. Or if he's going back to defend and cover his fullback, he's still got the licence to roam. I know he interchanged with Cazorla a few times position wise as well. So I think what you're seeing is a player who's starting to feel confident in his body again. He's starting to feel more like he's getting that run of games. The manager obviously rates him that highly that he'll even play him slightly out of position to make sure he's in the side, which is a compliment to him. And this is a guy that we could arguably have built in our side for the next 5, 6 years. So the talent was always there with Aaron. It was always about whether he would come through the period that he was on the sidelines after who garroted him. He proved that last year, getting to a level that, if anything, he probably outperformed himself, which raised the expectations for people this year. And of course, we all know that on social media, of course, if you have one bad game, you are shit. So we can't possibly give a player a little bit of sort of leeway in terms of coming back from injury. So I'm delighted to see he's doing well. And like you say, he was pretty much unplayable the other night, and him and Santi together, and obviously we'll come on to Alexis, was just a joy to behold, really.
And he took his goal well, didn't he, Kris?
He did, yeah. I mean, some people say, it's a deflection. Well, that's life. Both the first 2 goals were deflections. If you don't get the shot on target, you don't score goals. And I said on the radio show, it reminded me a little bit of his goal. I'm sure it was Hull last year where he got a goal where it was back across the keeper from that sort of angle. I'm sure it was in the away game up there last year.
I think you're right.
Yeah, and again, same position. His technique was superb. Yes, there was a savvy block on it, but to be honest, it looked like it was goalwards anyway. If anything, the deflection maybe just took a little bit of swaz off of it because it could have gone high into the corner rather than low. But no, good goal, good performance, and yeah, he's one that you couldn't drop at the moment.
And Danny, we also saw the reappearance of Jack Wilshire. He came on and he did an amazing run, didn't he, in the first 5 minutes of actually being on the pitch. And I think I'm not alone when I was looking at the screen with my hands over my eyes, just looking between my fingers, because it's one of those that you thought, oh my God, he's going to get clattered here, and he did. I mean, one of the questions that we should really be asking is, we've talked so highly about Aaron Ramsey on this podcast, but where does Wilshire fit in that system when they're both fit?
That's a good question. There is rumours that Cazorla could be off in the summer. I think those rumours are bullshit because you can't let a player who's now slotted into a new position bugger off. But I think we're going to be playing the best part of 60 games next season, and there's enough room for any world-class player to come in and play 3/4 of those. And a player like Jack should be happy, like Kris was asking on the radio show, or someone said, would you be happy being a really decent player playing 30 games a season for Arsenal and winning stuff, or playing every game of the season for a lesser team and winning nothing? Well, you'd obviously want to win stuff, wouldn't you? But when Jack came on, it was absolutely immense, and he's just shown what he is capable of. And I've always said he's not a number 10. He played like a number 10, getting forward. That part where he ran through 3 or 4 players and put the ball around all of them, was tripped just on the edge of the area. That is the kind of stuff that I usually do with him on FIFA. And then he scores a fantastic goal. But he's come back. He's looked fitter than ever. Looks as fit as a butcher's dog. He was right up for it. That's one thing that you can say about Jack that you can't say about many other players that have had horrendous injuries, that he doesn't care. He'll still go out there and get stuck in straight away, whereas other players that come back from injury, they're always a little bit tippy-toey around getting injured, and they're like, oh, he's been injured. But Jack, he doesn't care. It's like he's playing rugby, and it was fantastic to see him come back. And if he can fight for that position, then my ideal position was to see Wilshire in the centre of midfield with more holding, and Ramsey in the centre of midfield more attacking. But then they can both defend, they can both attack. But with the Cock coming in and doing as well as he is, and Santi moving there, I don't know where his best position is going to be. But before you pass on to somebody else, you were on about St Totterinham's Day.
Yes,
our friends at the thearsenalhistory.com did a fantastic piece. Andy did it. The generation of domination. That was 20 consecutive seasons now that we have won the St Totterinham's Day without them having a sniff. We did this the earliest. We did it with 4 games to go, and the last few years has been 2 games to go. None, 3, 0, 6, 9, 3, 0. So he's done a breakdown of how many games to go, the date we did it, and then Jordan Weeb, who's from, is it Fresno Gooners?
Yes.
He's done a little St Totteringham's picture on there that they've included. So yeah, people go and have a look at that blog. It's really, really good, and it breaks it all down. Just shows 20 years of them being shit. And I think our very own Mr. Hoolanfruden said, if you had £1 with a Spurs fan, and you said, right, double or quits every season, how much would you have after 20 seasons of that? And we're all thinking £500, £1,000. I think it's something like £564,000.
Yeah, it's something like that. I know it's over £500,000.
It's brilliant. Goodbye, Spurs, for that.
You probably could. We'll stick with Wilshire then. And a tweet that I put out on the podcast account, if you don't follow us, it's at the AFC podcast, this week was about Jack Wilshire. And I said, do we change the way Jack Wilshire plays, or do we just deal with his injuries as and when they come? And I'll give that question to Kate.
I don't think you'd ever be able to change the way Jack plays. Jack is Jack, and that's what he is, and that's what you get. What you see is what you get. Injuries, I don't necessarily know you'd be able to change his getting the injuries, even if he did change how he played. It's just what he is. We have to accept that. But would you really want to change how Jack plays? I mean, there's times when he's slightly anonymous. I'm trying to be polite. But when he plays like he made that run at the last match, then that's the Jack that we all want, and you wouldn't want to change that just to stop him getting injured.
No. Does everybody agree with that?
Definitely.
Pretty much, yeah.
No, that's good. Tom, I know you wanted to talk a bit about the goalkeeper situation, so I'll open the floor to you. Far away.
Yeah, so there's been a lot of talk on Twitter and stuff about Szczesny and Ospina and are they good enough for us? And like a lot of talk about Czech leaving, and I'm not saying I'm not innocent in thinking that adding Czech to our squad would make us a better team, but I know Kris feels the same way about us, about how I feel about it, and I think Ospina's doing a brilliant job for us, and he's saving us goals, conceding goals, and Szczesny, he has shown that he's a top quality goalkeeper, and he's just having a bit of a recent blip, and it's put a bit of a bad thoughts in people's minds about him. I know Kris, you want to talk a bit about it as well, don't you?
Yeah, if I may, I'm just getting. Well, I don't know. I suppose it's very easy to get wound up with people on particularly Twitter and Facebook. I'm not really a Facebooky person, but across all social media platforms and general talk, I'm just starting to get a bit miffed with this idea that Ospina isn't good enough or we can do better. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not for a minute suggesting that if Peter Cech says at the end of the season, up yours, Maureen, I'm off, and you know I'll go where I want to go. I'm not for a minute suggesting that we don't go after him, but I've heard people talk about Lloris, right? Now I'm not, the guy is very, very decent, but in my humble opinion, the amount of money it would take to get him out of there, particularly how much people forget how much they would put on top of what we would have to pay compared to if they sell him to, I don't know, Barcelona, just for argument's sake, they would charge at least 5 or 6 million less than they charge us, which is part of the deal. But also, I don't particularly see that Lloris has been in any better form than Ospina. Now, granted, if Szczesny does go, and it seems largely likely that is potentially going to happen, yes, we need backup, but I would much rather that we go and get somebody that is, I've mentioned before, like a Roman Weidenfeller, somebody who would just come in and work with Ospina and provide suitable competition. But I really don't see the point in going out and buying a quote-unquote name just because it's fashionable, just because people think that, oh, well, Peter Cech's played for Chelsea, so he must be better than Ospina. The guy's come in, he's looked very, very good. He clearly affects the defence, and you can see the calm that Koscielny and Mertesacker in particular have with him in front of them, or behind them, sorry, not in front, that would be dangerous. That'd be more like Szczesny in front of them. But, I just think the guy is very good. We need to sort out this neck issue, because he doesn't have one clearly. But, no, he's a very steady goalkeeper. He's a 50-plus cap international. We got him for a fraction of the price. And again, before people say, oh, well, we can upgrade on him. Who thought David De Gea would be one of the world's best goalkeepers a year ago? I don't think anyone would. So just give the guy time. He's had 6 months. I don't think he's done anything. He certainly hasn't dropped any clangers that are Szczesny-esque. And I think people just need to just stop and think for a minute before you're demanding, oh, we go and get Casillas and all this. Let's be realistic. Stick with what we got, in my opinion. I think with in regards to Petr Cech, the only thing that I would be dubious around is the 10 million fee. Am I living in the dark ages when I'm saying maybe that's slightly a little bit too much considering his age? I know he's had a fantastic career. Nobody's questioning his quality, but at that age and that time of his career, is 10 million a bit too much maybe? I think it is. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think, again, as I said about Lloris, Chelsea would crank the price. And to be honest, I don't think it would just be for us. I think they'd crank the price to any English club. Like him or hate him. Obviously, most of us hate him. Mourinho is a very shrewd businessman, as is Abramovich. They're not going to sell, to us for 10 quid. That they're going to pay. They're going to charge a lot of money. And again, people talking about Casillas is the other one that is the regular rumour. You really think Real Madrid are going to let him go for cheap? It's not going to happen. So I just think what we've got is very good. And there's all this argument about, you might come on to it later, about Giroud, Thierry Henry's comments, can we win a league? I just think too many people are looking too far ahead. This team is settled. It's won 9 games in a row. Why are people so desperate to change what seems to be working and what is clearly a good defensive unit right now?
And there is also, as you know, a stat coming up in around 10 minutes' time regarding the actual teams that we've been putting out, and something that will probably surprise a few of you. But yeah, to backtrack as well, Kris. And I could be wrong. I normally am, but I'm sure I read somewhere that Hugo Lloris had a clause in his contract that said if a Champions League club came in for him, it was 20 million euros. Now, am I wrong?
I mean, you know, it's probably one for somebody with an inside track to say. I read the same rumour as that, and you're probably right.
Sorry to just quickly jump in.
No,
that rumour was actually, so anyone who follows me or FK, that we were at the Arsenal Supporters Trust meeting recently when the French journalist Laurent Julien mentioned that he had a clause for 20 million euros for any Champions League club that came in for him if Spurs didn't qualify. Although Spurs came out the next day and categorically denied such a rumour. It was reported a month before in France football, and they rejected it then as well. So it has been rejected by Spurs. So make that what you will.
And even if they did, you know, even if we did come in, if let's just say, for example, that clause is the case, and agents were made aware of it, Hugo Lloris he's of a level where he's going to command interest from clubs in Serie A. Liverpool need a new goalkeeper, for example. I think. Now, do you really think that Tottenham are going to sit there and go, right, we could take an extra 4 million, send them to Arsenal? Or we could just sacrifice 4 million to Liverpool. You know where it's going to go. I really can't see. Sol Campbell was the exclusion to the rule because they had no choice. With Lloris, ultimately, they will choose where he goes and the money they accept. So I just think that one's a dead in the water one anyway.
Yeah, no, very true. I think that's the goalkeepers covered then. And another thing that Andrew wanted to talk about was the midfield. Andrew, kick us off.
Can we bring it back to the game, boys? Jesus. Yeah, no, so bringing it back to the whole match. I think that what really stood out for me, and I think obviously the kind of, it's a theme or a semantic that which you picked up on, is just how well settled the team is now, and especially that midfield. I think we can certainly see, we've seen this is certainly the best Arsenal midfield we've seen in a long time. The kind of the midfield 5 of Coquelin, Holding, Cazorla playing as the deep-lying playmaker, if you will, but obviously he's playing quite attacking. We've got Ramsey, Ozil and Sanchez supporting Giroud. We're seeing, I think that was the real true masterclass of the team against Hull. That was the versatility of the midfield in the first half to pick apart Hull in the second half, to grind it out slightly more. I think just, if you look at some of the statistics we've seen, I think, the Cazorla's pass completion rate was 94%, which is, in a game as tight as that, or against a team like Hull, is relatively unheard of. If you look at the midfield compared to the rest of the team, so I think the midfield completed 50% of their tackles against 38%, team average. The midfield, won 54% of their aerial duels against a 43% average. And then you look, you break it down, as I mentioned, Santi, 94% pass completion is off the charts. Coquelin won 56% of his tackles. Sanchez won, 7 of his take-ons, which takes him up to 70 this season. It's only 1 fewer than Cazorla. I think we're starting to see that the kind of that settled midfield now. We, as a team, we've suffered so many injuries in recent years to critical players. Rosicki's been out here and there for 18 months when he first came. Fabregas used to get injured in the second half of the season all the time. We've had Ramsey out for long periods. Ozil obviously went missing last year for 3 months with an injury. I think we're really starting to see now is, that kind of almost telepathic understanding, especially between Santi, Sanchez and Ozil, which I think is so many teams, look what we did to Liverpool. They just can't handle that kind of reading of reading between, that triangular football. We used to see it way back in the day with, Vieira, Pires, and how they used to then link up with Omri and Bergkamp. I think we're finally starting to see that again. And now Arsenal, is something which we've missed. But I think, pound for pound, we can easily lay claim to having one of the best midfielders, if not the best in the Premiership now. And if we keep that midfield together, I don't see why there's not any real reason why we can't challenge for the league next season. Although, for saying that, given its election day, I'm going to throw a hot political potato into the hands of Tom, because I think actually what we saw in disparity of that was that Giroud, I thought, actually had a pretty poor game by his standards.
I actually have a bit of a theory about Giroud's recent lacking in goals, which is because Ramsey's now playing on that wing side, he's still getting drawn into the middle because that's his natural position. That's where he feels most comfortable playing, which means that Giroud is having to come out wide on the right to fill that space and to get more of the ball, and he's having to come a lot more deeper to do more of the link-up play. Now, I'm not saying that's detrimental to the team because we're still winning, but it does explain why he isn't scoring as many goals and why the midfield, and Sanchez in particular, is getting a lot more goal-scoring activity because he's been able to run past Giroud a lot more often with Ramsey coming inside, Giroud coming wide, and Sanchez filling that space inside where Giroud was in the first place. So I don't know what you guys think about that, but that's my personal opinion.
Is there anybody that wants to take that on?
I think, very briefly, I think Tom's spot on, to be perfectly honest. I think people forget that these players they build relationships, they build partnerships, they build sort of styles of play. When you change that, it can have an effect on how a player performs. And, you've seen that with Theo Walcott. He's not getting in the side at the moment because I don't really think that the style he has would suit the game we're currently playing. We're not really looking for those balls in behind because Alexis is far more dynamic and, well, he's obviously a better footballer. So I think Tom's got a really good point there.
No, I'd agree. We'll move this on then. And Danny, I want an Alexis watch from you, please. He scored his 23rd and 24th goals of the campaign against Hull. Was his game just goals, or was there more to it than that? How did he do?
Well, whoscored.com that has just gone down, but luckily it was on another page. But I managed to get it up before it went wonky. Oh dear. He got 10 out of 10. Now, how many times do whoscored.com, who use OptaStats for their information, does a player get 10 out of 10? He is just fucking immense. He got 2 goals, he got man of the match, and his pass accuracy was 83%, touches 70, fouls 1, total shots 8, dribbles 1, 5, and a rating of 10. Absolutely immense. I mean, that is just... I think we're only just beginning to see how fantastic the front 3 or 4 with Ozil, Sanchez, Giroud, and other on the right side. I mean, even Ramsey got an 8.3, but he says he starts on the right. He does. If you looked at his heat map, he was mainly coming in and playing roughly in the kind of Ozil position with everybody else moving around outside him, and Bellerin was doing a lot of covering on the right side for him as well. But Sanchez was absolutely immense. Ozil only got a 7.4. So I think one day they'll both tick together, and when they do, someone's in for a slobber knocker.
Definitely so. Kate, I think that it would be criminal for us not to talk about, was it Tom Huddlestone's dive? Now, could this have possibly been the worst dive we've seen since, I think it was about 3 or 4 years ago, Bakary Sagna on Morgan Gamps Pedersen, where he just chucked himself down in the box. There wasn't even any contact on Tom Huddlestone. It was atrocious, wasn't it?
But do you really expect anything more from Tom Huddlestone?
Not Fatty Huddlestone.
Let's look at his history. He was a Spurs player. It says it all. And he really shouldn't give up his footballing job to become an actor, because if that's going to be his next course, then he should give that up before he starts. Silly little twat.
There's no better way to put it.
I called him worse when we were watching it.
Oh yeah, she did. Oh my word. The air was blue, literally. Right then, I'm going to talk about some of these stats then, and if any of these are wrong, don't shoot me because I nicked them off of the BBC. But Arsenal named an unchanged starting 11th for the 4th time in a row. Can anyone tell me when the last time they did that was?
1772.
No, it was March/April 1996. Danny, you've got some info on that, haven't you?
I certainly did, and again, we're going to go and have a look at ArsenalHistory.com. That's twice we've plugged those cheeky monkeys. And according to, if the BBC have got their stats right, then we worked out that it was in the 16th of March 1996, which was Wimbledon 3-0, then a loss to Man United 1-0. Or does that mean we won 1-0? I don't know, it could be back to front. Then Newcastle, then Leeds, and the starting lineup then, Seaman, Dixon, Winterburn, Marshall, Linnigan, Keown. That's in the days when we were playing 5 at the back. Platt, Wright, Merson, Bergkamp, Hartson. Oh, great days.
Oh, happy, happy days.
Yes.
So the questions that lead off of this, and Kris, I'll come to you on this one. Does this now mean that Arsene Wenger has found his best 11?
Yeah, I think it probably does. There's not really many options that I would dispute in any way, shape or form as to who I'd rather have in at the expense of others. I know some people have this sort of theory that Theo Walcott would improve on what we're currently on. I don't subscribe to that personally. There's nothing against Theo. I just think that our game suits the players we have. I think Nacho Monreal is vastly superior to Kieran Gibbs on current form. I suppose the only one you could probably look at is whether Matthew Debuchy will take his place back from Bellerin. Not in any slight against Bellerin whatsoever, just the fact that obviously he's a young kid and he's come on leaps and bounds this season, and often when you get a young player come in, they will often be taken out and rested for a while. But to be fair, if there was ever a manager that would keep faith with the youngster, it would be Arsene Wenger. So Jack Wilshere's cameo the other night will give him something to think about. But to be perfectly honest, unless you see or an injury comes up between now and the cup final, I can't see any changes. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, I don't think we'll see him again this season. He would be the only one that I would really love to crowbar into the side. But if you did that, it would probably be Aaron Ramsey that wouldn't be in there. So I think he's found his best team. I think the momentum's there. 9 straight wins speaks for itself. And as the old saying goes, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
No, exactly.
Can I just come in on that quickly?
Of course you can.
The thing about Bellerin, and I think the reason Debuchy wouldn't get into the squad is because I think, as we saw at Reading, and I know that he was coming back from an injury, but if you play Ramsey on the right and then have Debuchy, there's not enough pace on that side of the field because you have that combination between Ramsey and Bellerin where Bellerin's pace overlaps Ramsey and then they do some link-up play. But Debuchy hasn't got that just like raw pace that Bellerin has. And I think it would work if you took out Ramsey and put in a fit Oxlade-Chamberlain because then you've like refreshed the pace into that side of the pitch. But that'd be my only thing about playing Debuchy there, is that it wouldn't work with Ramsey on the right.
No, I think the one thing as well you get from Hector Bellerin as well is that you've got just in his locker, he has the potential to score goals. And not that Debuchy can't.
And a dead donkey.
But Bellerin can score goals from outside the box. He can, he has shots, whereas I don't necessarily think that that's in Matthew Debuchy's playbook, so to speak. But the other side of the coin, and I'll include Andrew into this as well, we've spoken about him finding the best 11, and is it a fact that he's just found that best team that he's happy with? Or is it just a sign that you don't change a winning formula? Andrew?
Well, it's probably a combination of the both. The reason why we have a winning formula is most likely because we found our best team. I mean, it's also, heavily helped by the fact that we've had, as we mentioned earlier, the team is settled now. So why would I think you, as the team, I think we've seen correlation. You can see linear correlation in successful teams where the fewer the number of players you play in one on average, the more likely you are to pick up points. I think that there was some statistics released at an Arsenal Supporters Trust meeting a couple of years ago where they looked at the Invincibles team and they looked at the core the core nucleus of the team. And in years gone by, as mentioned, the fewer the number of players which Wenger's rotated in the squad or in his first 11, the more successful output we seem to have. And I think what we've seen in the second half of this season, where we've had the majority of our key players, fully fit, we've been able to pick up, not only we've been able to pick up form, we've been able to start, we're playing with a lot more fluidity in our game where I think, there's kind of that telepathy in the midfield. The defence is certainly a lot more solid now that we've got Bellerin and Monreal as our wing-backs, week in, week out. They certainly give a lot more support and cover to Koscielny and Mertesacker, I think, than what we sometimes get from Gibbs, who I just don't see enough passion from players like Gibbs. He never seems to really want to win the ball, or he never really seems to want to. He's not the kind of defender that I think is going to, pin in that last-ditch tackle or scary defender. Likewise, Debuchy, he's been out for a few months. He's just given Bellerin that chance, revitalise that right-hand side. I think, Wenger, in years gone by, you could maybe levy the criticism at him that he's changed the team around a bit too much. But I think we can certainly see now that I think he's found his best 11 and he's very comfortable and happy with that. And that's why players like, Welbeck, Walcott, for all of what they can bring to the team, they're not going to be starting. And Rosicki's not been anywhere near the team since January.
No, I also think it's the impetus of when we went into the season, we were very unsure of what our best 11 was. I mean, there was competition all over the park, but it also seems not only have the players that we've signed come in and hit the ground running, i.e. Sanchez, but the players that were battling for the positions have really stepped it up. And by that, I do mean Bellerin. By that, I do also mean Monreal, because for me, and I don't care what anyone says, Monreal, certainly for the first half of the season, was our unsung hero. I couldn't really think of anyone that had done it all for us like that. So I do also think it's the people stepping up to be counted, the competition for places, knowing what our best team is. Certainly the level of competition is higher this year, and common knowledge and logic would only dictate that the higher the level of competition, the better we are going to be. I'll move on to my next stat then.
Just before you do, I was just going to quickly say, Gimli, I mean, at the start of the season, if you said to me, or anyone on here, that we would go on our longest or one of our best runs of form, for a long time, and in that team, some of the core players would be Bellerin, Monreal and Coquelin, I'd tell you that you're probably smoking crack. And in your case, you probably are, but you would have been right. So
you cheeky twat. No, you're true. But we'll move on to the next stat then. And Arsenal's win against Hull was their 200th Premier League away win. With that, only United have more with 238. So my question is, Chelsea think they're a big club. Jesus wept. But yes, I think this is a landmark that we should celebrate. Who wants to take this on and just talk about our form? Are us and Man United still the front runners in terms of quality over time? Danny?
So. I think someone said they put out a tweet saying Chelsea have won 21 trophies in 117 years or however long they've been going. Then they had a picture of Bastian Schweinsteiger saying he's won that much in the last 17 months or some combination of those digits. So they're just a shit club. And I think we should have a moment's appreciation and a round of applause and boo and hisses and clapping for the wonderful Chelsea. And there you go, ladies and gentlemen.
That's the bit where you insert the tumbleweed in it, isn't it? That's definitely the bit.
Fucking arsehole. Fuck 'em.
We'll move on to our next fun stat then. Not that they're fun, they're just stats really.
That was our 100th goal of the season as well, including the Charity Shield.
Was it really? See, we're just stats tonight. It's just a stat-based podcast. We've got them coming out of our ear holes.
We've got Statsasaurus.
We have. Statosaurus Rex.
Woof.
My next stat. No player has assisted as many Premier League goals as Santi Cazorla.
Can you say that in Welsh? There you go, Davies.
Is that Davis?
It is. I can hear him turning in his wicker basket.
Through the valleys. Right.
He's thrown his flip-flop at his phone.
At his wireless.
He's just had a shit fit and taken his flip-flops off. But yes, I will give you the numbers that go with that stat. 28 since his debut in August 2012. Now, that's phenomenal, isn't it? And I think anyone that says that Cazorla isn't a pivotal part of our team, well, quite frankly, I don't think they're watching the same Arsenal team as I am.
Crazy!
Yeah, yes.
Speaking of Santi Cazorla, can I throw Davies under the bus quickly?
Oh, do it.
Hold on, I want to go and get my bus as well. I want 3 or 4 buses.
If you tip the bus on its side, I'll roll Danny under, and then he can pin Davies up before we let the bus go again.
I was going to say, fuck it, let me get in, and I'll reverse back over him.
Happy days. No, I was going to say, I love Davies. He's my favourite cunt in the world. He genuinely is, and I mean that with all due love.
And you are a lover with a minge.
Absolutely. No, he's a top boy, Davies, but he's got this one horribly wrong. Horribly wrong. The amount of times that we're watching games and he pops up on the group of Mongs in our WhatsApp group and goes, "Oh, fucking Santi, why did you fucking shoot? Why did he do this? Why did he do that? Why can't he pass? Fuck's sake." I'm like, seriously, this guy is... if he played for Real Madrid or Barcelona, I mean, he basically is the Arsenal version of what Modric is at Real Madrid. When he's not in the side, we don't tick. I don't care what anyone says. Alexis is brilliant. I love him to bits. All the other players that we have, I love them all dearly. But let's be honest, Santi Cazorla just pulls the strings. And one thing that's been criminally overlooked this season is if you look at even God bless our delightful Chelsea, and the system they play with. They often play with Matic and another holding midfielder alongside him. Okay, occasionally they'll use Fabregas in that role as well, but generally the top teams in Europe will play with 2 out-and-out holding midfielders. We don't. We almost started this idea. It was almost an experiment when we played Santi Cazorla alongside Francis Coquelin. And the thing I love about the two of them together is they complement each other so well. Coquelin runs around like a nutter winning tackles and chewing out people and rattling people, winning balls in the air. He just does everything. He's all action. And he gives it to Santi Cazorla, who just gets his head up and starts. You look at the amount of attacks that we start from deep because Santi Cazorla just takes the ball. And he's criminally underrated as far as his tackles go. I mean, he's never going to fly across the pitch like Koscielny will and put somebody in row Z. But what he does do brilliantly is he'll just nick balls away from players and he'll take possession away from people just with a sort of a sleight of foot. And anyone that can do that with both feet is brilliant. Yes, he has had trouble shooting from distance, but to be honest, anyone that watched him at Malaga knows that he can score from distance. I think maybe in the role he's at Arsenal, he's told not to shoot from distance.
If he
maybe
was shooting from distance and missing, people going, why does he keep shooting from distance?
Exactly.
You fucking Cazorla mag.
Exactly.
I think one thing to back up what you just said there, Chris, as well, and if you can all draw your minds back to the Man City game, is where he picked up the ball. I think it was Kompany that had it. It could have been, and he swapped it from one foot to another. Yeah, he put his head down and he ran. And literally the only way that he was losing that ball is if he got clattered. And near enough, he ran from pretty much the edge of the box in Arsenal's half to just over the halfway line. And rightly so, it took him getting clattered to actually take the ball off of him. I think, he's an incredible player. In my own experience, I haven't seen many players at Arsenal who can control the ball with both feet as well as he can, which leads me to my next question. I want a one-word answer from all of you. Technically speaking, is Santi Cazorla the best we've seen at the club? Danny?
In what? Be very specific in your positioning.
It's just overall in his technical style of play, the way that he can use both feet, and like Kris has said, his dribbling skills is amazing. No, would you like to give us a name of who would top him then?
I would say Cesc Fabregas when he had these very good.
Oh no! You're probably standing next to FK, fucking clapping him off, and
there's the other flip flop thrown at the radio by David.
Jesus,
that half a season, I think it might have been the first half of 08-09, something like that. He was scoring almost a goal every game for us, or every other game, and I think, that's
the season where it
and
came
his assists.
They all had a bet, didn't they? All the Arsenal midfielders had a bet to see who would score the most goals that year, and Cesc Fabregas, Judas, close brackets, absolutely wiped the floor with everybody else.
I'm just going to have a look and see what season that was, and then
Okay.
I should give you some stats. It would have been the first half of
2008.
Yeah.
No, it's 2009.
Rosicky, Kleb, and Fabregas had a bet.
Yeah,
I don't know. In the first half of 2009-10, that season, he got 15 goals in 27 games.
Wow.
So I think it might have been that season. It doesn't give me. I can go and look elsewhere for a breakdown. But for the first half of the season, he just did what he usually did.
Is that the season where he came back against Villa and we were 1-0 down and he came on to score 2 goals and
With
we won the game?
leg.
Yes.
Broke his leg taking the penalty, didn't he?
I can say yes, but I'd have no idea.
Okay.
On pure technique alone, I'd say that Cazorla is certainly one of the best I've ever seen at Arsenal. And as another thing from another anecdote the other night, the French journalist mentioned that Laurent Koscielny doesn't really watch much football outside of England and France, and so he'd never really seen much of Cazorla before he signed for Arsenal. And apparently, after the first training session, he was phoned at the journalist. They're quite good friends, and they were speaking. And he said he had to go up to Cazorla after the training session and genuinely asked him what foot he was because he just couldn't tell. And Cazorla turned around and told him he's both footed.
The way you can tell that is when they take penalties.
Apparently, Santi said that the best player he's ever played with was Diaby in his first training session. So
doesn't surprise me. Anyone who hasn't seen that video of Santi Cazorla and Nacho Monreal just knocking the ball to each other in the Arsenal gym, have you seen that?
Yeah,
I've not seen that.
Brilliant.
I'll try and find it. I'll tweet you a link, but it's basically just, I think there's a distance, what would you say, Tom, about 20 foot away?
Yeah, 15,
20 feet. And all they're basically doing is they're literally just keeping the ball in the air, volleying it back to each other. But not just sort of gentle taps like as if you're at the beach. They're proper side-on volleys, like goalkeeper clearance type of volleys. They're, it's force. And Nacho Monreal said that Santi Cazorla's the only one he can't beat. And he just takes it. Every single touch is just immaculate. And just to draw a line under my opinion, there's only one player that in my lifetime that's technically better than Santi Cazorla, and it's the one whose name this podcast is named after. That's the only one I can think that is technically and visually as good as Santi, in my opinion.
I'd probably echo that.
I'm just looking at the stats. In the season that Fife said 07-08, he got 11 before January, and the season I said 9-10, he got 14 before January, up to January. So it was very close with the two of them. So that would have been the one. That's the season when we beat Slavia Prague 7-0, and he got a couple there.
No,
Kleb got that was Kleb's best ever game for Arsenal, wasn't it?
He had one half a good season as well. Bless him.
Yeah,
his socks down by his ankles.
Right.
He was the best technically gifted players we've seen as well.
Kleb.
Yeah, his vision. He was a bit like an Ozil, but obviously not on the same level. But he never got the praise he deserved, I felt.
I was going to say criminally underrated.
He used to be the guy who would play the pass before the assist. I think there was one game when we played Liverpool away and we were 1-0 down. Fabregas scored the equaliser with about 10 minutes to go. But if you watch Kleb, he makes two turns and then plays a ball into an area where he's brought 4 Liverpool defenders out of position, or defenders and midfielders, to put Fabregas through. He did the same against Man U at home as well when he beat Anderson and put Fabregas through. And it's just little things which really went unnoticed in his game. So many players, so many fans underrated him just because he wasn't the kind of champagne kind of player we were used to in, say, Perez, and he didn't get the same number of goals. But his vision and his technique at times was just completely unparalleled. And he wasn't the kind of sexy player who was going to get picked up by, the morons of Match of the Day who just, like to tell us when someone's pitting a cross or whatever. His vision was just off the charts, and he was one of the most wasted talents we've seen, since leaving.
Right, very
Another
true.
player whose career was ruined by a big money move to La Liga. Stop doing it, you fucking idiots.
Danny, don't do it.
What?
Because
No,
the whole next segment...
Never happened.
Ruined the whole next segment. You absolute twat.
I'll be voting UKIP for next at this
Right.
rate.
Kate, back to the question. Santi Cazorla, technically speaking, the best we've seen?
Oh, I was on mute, sorry. No, I'd probably go with what Kris said. He is, don't get me wrong, one of the best, but Bergkamp, legend. Santi, I think we'd have been lost without Santi a lot this season, though. He's like the glue that holds it all together.
I think there was he received a lot of criticism, didn't he, in the first couple of games of the season, and people were saying, "Oh, this isn't the same Santi Cazorla. He's shit. Let's sell him." Same old from our fans, but his quality shone through in the end, which is nice to see. Tom, technically speaking, best we've seen?
Best I've seen, because unfortunately a bit of a baby, I don't think I was old enough to appreciate Bergkamp when he was in his prime. So yeah, I would say Cazorla is the best technically I've ever seen at Arsenal.
Fair enough. Is there anybody else that hasn't taken that question yet, or have we all answered that? No, I echo what Kris and Kate says. I mean, I think we're just so lucky to have had Dennis Bergkamp at our club. And if it wasn't for him, then the answer to the question would clearly be yes.
I think if you go even further back, you look at the likes of Liam Brady, who played in the central midfield role, and I think he used to go out wide a little bit at times, and he was absolutely immense. He used to run the game and he'd do a pass 3 hours before anyone even turned up at the stadium. He was that good.
A word for Fabian Caballero, though, of course. I mean, who could forget him?
The Argentinian,
exactly.
Last seen on loan at Dundee.
Yes, indeed. Sorry, I had to throw that in.
No, that's all right.
Oh, no, he wasn't Argentinian, was he?
For anyone listening, his name is Cazorla.
Yes.
Not Cazorla, not Cazorla. It's Cazorla. It's not difficult. Why don't you look at it, put your reading glasses on, and pretty much just say it how it's spelt, because it's not hard. Anyway, rant over.
Rant? That was very fast.
Oh, no.
Jesus.
Oh, do behave. Sorry.
No, don't even do it. Right, so 3-1 was the score, and that's put us level on points with Man City and in with a real shout for second. So the next question for you guys is where can you actually see us finishing? Is that it? Is second stuck on thing now? Do you boys? Right. Who should we start with? Kris.
Did
Well,
you say Kris?
No, I said Kris.
You meant how go then, Kris?
You'll have people rewinding this now. Well done. Well done.
I've been called a lot worse, Kim. You know this. Well, as an Arsenal fan for 25 now plus years,
Lightweight.
nothing. Shut up. I'm not as old as you.
All right, behave.
Nothing is ever assured until it's in black and white and in the papers as gospel. So, never say never. I said to Tom and the boys the other day in the group that I'd like to be able to go to Old Trafford knowing that we can lose 18-0 and still finish second. Now, unfortunately, for that to happen, I think Man City have to lose at home to QPR. Probably not going to happen, and we need to beat Swansea, which you'd like to think will happen. So, we can pray, but I can still see Man City dropping a bollock. It's just really, for me, we should be winning the other 3 games. Is it Swansea, West Brom, and the other one escapes me, Sunderland. They're all home games, really. We should be taking 9 points out of that. So then it comes down to Old Trafford, and United had this brief revival, but I was never convinced that they were fixed, so to speak. We've
on
got
their worst run, aren't they? 3 losses in a row,
straight defeats, yeah,
and with no goals. It's the first time they've done that since '89, and long may it continue.
Oh, they were shit against West Brom, though. I sat there and I watched that game. I will only watch 2 other teams, and that's Tottenham when they're losing.
Which is a lot.
Yeah, pretty much most of the time. And Man United when they're on a bad run. And Man United at the moment are shocking. Fellaini up front.
Oh, it's hilarious. The one thing you would say, though, is irrespective of form, you know that when we rock up in Manchester, they will race their game. So, it's easy to say that they're out of form, but you know that, look at Liverpool and Spurs when they turned up there and they raised the game. So that will be a difficult game no matter what shape they're in. But it'd be nice to go out there, get a draw, and if we finish second, and we won't mention the cup final, but let's just say we do what we all hope we do, that's definite progress. I thought we'd finish third at the start of the season, so I'm going to upgrade that. I do think some way or other, I think we'll end up second.
Yep. Okay. I chucked my thing into the hat. I thought we would finish 5th this year, being miserable about everything as I normally am.
Danny was first.
Yeah, he was actually a miserable prick. But yeah, I do genuinely think that we're going to get second now, and if we don't, you got to wonder what's gone on there. Kate, second in the league for you. Is that where it's going to be?
Yeah, you've got to be positive. I said 4th at the beginning of the season. But yes, definitely second is well within our grasp for the first time in so long. And although it's not winning it, Chelsea should have had that wrapped up before Christmas. We all know that. So they haven't been that great. Everyone's just been slightly worse.
Would you not say it's improvement, though? I mean,
yeah,
FA Cup and 4th place last year to this year. I mean, FA Cup final, you'd like to think that we'd win it. I mean, you've got to be positive. And let's just say we did win it and you got second. That's improvement, which as fans, I know it's not winning the league, but all you can ask for is an improvement, and then you build on that to next year. And, you don't know where we're going to be next year. If we play second half of the season, if we play next season like we have second half of this season, then there ain't no reason why we can't be winning this and winning it at a bit of a canter. I'll probably direct your tweets slagging me off for that, by the way, at Gimli. But Danny, second in the league, is that good enough for you? Are you happy with that, or do you think we're going to be third?
I don't think you're far out. As Captain Carpenter said, we're going to be playing Swansea. Swansea already wearing their flip-flops. They're on the beach at Swansea, picking condoms and turds out of their children's hair.
That's all right. I'll send a Dickie Curry down to the Liberty. It's only 20 miles down the road.
They'll love that. So we're going to beat Swansea, Sunderland and West Brom. I mean, Man City are just, they don't give a fuck anymore, do they? Yaya's going. The only player they got is Aguero. Joe Hart has been found out to be the shit goalkeeper or the average goalkeeper that he is. I'm actually looking forward to going to Man United and spanking them, ruining them, fucking them over in a kind of ding-dong thriller of a game. Then hopefully Man City will have fucked up, and then we'll get the points against Swansea, Man United and Sunderland, and then hopefully the West Brom game, which is 6 days before the FA Cup final, because Villa, remember, are only 2 points away from the relegation position, so they're going to be seriously concentrating on that. So yeah, I think we've definitely bang on for second place, and it's going to be. I was thinking, if you had to pick between the teams that are left there, who do you want to get the other Champions League place? Do you want Man United or Liverpool to get fourth place? And that's I think neither. They again, I don't want Spurs to do it, and Southampton are too far away.
I think Liverpool would be the funny one, because if it upsets Man United fans more because they're used to it, aren't they? I mean,
yeah, but then you have to think that whoever doesn't make it is going to have a great run in the league next season. So I'd rather Man United be in the Champions League and then not be able to try and run away with the league, because I think the league could be ours next season. But again, it'd be great seeing Liverpool spunk all their Champions League money on some players that are shit.
But then again, if Liverpool weren't in the Champions League, we wouldn't be having nights like we did this season where they'd lose at home to some team that was nearly
Mighty Basel, wasn't it?
and there was another team like Polon Korios.
It was a team in Bulgaria.
They won on penalties, didn't they?
Ludogorets. Population.
Ludogorets, that's it, yes.
But what about a curveball, though? Yeah. I don't think we've thought about this specifically. Usually we're the ones fighting for fourth, and obviously we all know that fourth means a Champions League playoff.
It's a trophy.
Yeah, absolutely. But if Manchester United, for example, or Liverpool finish fourth, I know they've made a purchase today, but could that potentially affect their ability to do business early like it has ours, and would that give us an advantage to get our business done early?
Players won't sign for a club if they know they're not.
Well, Man United have already got Depay.
Yeah, so I don't think it'll affect United because, to be perfectly honest, whether we love or hate them, we all hate them, obviously. They are one of the biggest clubs in the world. Players will always go there. But I think Liverpool in particular, I don't think it's a coincidence that Depay has chosen United over Liverpool today, because they are more likely to be in that Champions League spot. So
no, exactly.
There's a lot of catching up to do for Liverpool, isn't there?
Man United have their fingers in many Depays.
Hey, are you here all week?
I'm here tonight. Right.
And many Man United fans have their gentleman's little sausages in many pies, and didn't there someone try and sue Findus because of that?
And children, probably.
Because they burnt themselves, wasn't it?
They did. He microwaved the pie, then shagged it and complained to Findus because he burnt his sausage.
Jesus wept.
That's Northerners for you.
Okay. That was a Stoke fan.
Now,
there you go.
Now Andrew's back from checking his dong. Andrew, second in the league, is that where we're going to end up?
I don't think it's a given. So the other night Arsenal were fantastic. Sanchez was brilliant, but there were a few chances where I thought we could rue them. We're only 2 goals behind Man City, level on points. Obviously, a game in hand. But going to Manchester away, obviously, we're a superior team to them, and we're in better form. But let's not take that as 100% given. We've still got to play a couple of teams as well, like Sunderland, West. Teams that are fighting for their life effectively. We should, I'd like to think we're going to come second, but it isn't that a foregone conclusion. It could go down to goal difference against Man City, and if you take it at face value, we're currently a couple behind them. So I don't think we should be counting our chickens just yet. I know there's not too much difference by some prize money between second and third, but it would be lovely with
per place.
Yes, I mean, to Arsenal, it's a drop in the ocean, right? It's more the prestige of coming ahead of oil money Man City, isn't it? Yeah. And I'd love to, but if we can go to Manchester United and get a draw or better, 1 point or more, and win our 3 remaining games, it's ours. If not, then goal difference it will show so be. And I thought we were slightly wasteful in front of goal at times against Hull. You could say that the first goal, we got a little bit of luck with the header, and so it kind of equalises itself out. But I wouldn't count our chickens too early, just because of that game away against Manchester. I know we beat them, we beat them away earlier, but they did do a bloody good number on us, didn't they, at the Emirates earlier this season after we, self-imploded again. So I'm not going to get carried away just yet. That's the pessimist in me. But I think, just the sheer fact that if we do win our remaining 4 games, we're 3 points better off than what we are last season. And, regardless, we've qualified for the Champions League, far in advance of what we usually have. So, it's been a good end to, a good second half to the season all round.
No, amen to that one. And finally, Tom, if you'd like to finish us off on this one.
I think everyone else has summed it up pretty well. I think we'll get second. I can't see any problems, really. I really, like Danny, want to go out there and absolutely destroy them. So, because that'll be a good day for everyone. So, I'm sorry the short answer there, but I think everyone summed it up pretty well. So, yeah.
Fair enough. Our main topic tonight is one I've wanted to discuss since a segment of our fans clapped off Cesc Fabregas the other week. I sat there and I got thinking about the players we've had on the books and who we've sold and what they've gone on to achieve at their new clubs. I mean, many moan about Arsene Wenger, but when you give it the thought, he's been very shrewd in the transfer market with his buying and his selling. So, boys, first of all, I want your thoughts on Arsene Wenger and if you think he's a genius in his transfer dealings. So we'll go to Andrew first. Oh, pardon me. We'll go to Andrew first. Which player, Andrew, do you think has gone on to achieve the most since leaving Arsenal?
Controversial Ashley Cole.
Yeah, I'd happen to go for that as well. Is anybody else want to chuck anything in on this? Is there any other players that you think could rival Ashley Cole in terms of silverware? One, I mean, Cesc Fabregas.
Fabregas, yeah, that's the one that leaps to mind. Thierry Henry, you could argue for the spell he had at Barca, he won the Champions League, didn't he? So I suppose you could probably say. I can't think of many more, though. Nicholas Bentner? Oh, no, wait, hang on.
Look at Patrick Vieira. We sold him to Juventus, and he went and won the league with Juventus, and then he went to Inter Milan, won three or four back-to-back titles of Inter Milan and the Champions League. Then he come back to Man City, and then he won the league with Man City.
Yeah.
I'm sure he won all of those. I mean, you can't get more success. I'm just looking now, yeah. With Arsenal, he won 3 leagues. With Juventus, he won 1. With Inter Milan, he won 4. And the Italian Cup. Man City, he won the FA Cup with Man City. I know he won something with them. And so I think, we can't go much further wrong than winning the title with 5 titles with 2 other clubs once you leave. But I think Ashley Cole, though, I mean, he won absolutely loads. And he's I
think what you could argue, sorry, quickly there, Danny, about Ashley Cole, you could say he was in his prime years and he was integral to the Chelsea team. You know, that Chelsea team that won the Champions League was pretty crap. But Ashley Cole's been consistently one of Chelsea's best players and probably England's best player. I think Liam Brady the other day said he was the best young player Arsenal have ever produced in the academy whilst he's been there. And compare that to Fabregas. You know, he came into the Barca team. He came out of the Barca team. He was kind of on the fringe of it at times. There were times when the fans really questioned him. Well, you can never say that about Ashley Cole. He was always, one of the main men at Chelsea. Love him or hate him, I think he's definitely been the one who's gone on to be not only, the most successful, but also, one of the best in the world in that position. And I don't think you can say Fabregas ever really made it rain at Barcelona like he probably expected himself to, and hence why he's now found himself somewhere else.
Now, and also regarding the Judas, because that's what we'll call him now, just like that thing in Manchester is called the Kutch stunt. But I think there's also the thing that Ashley Cole, in his prime, was probably the best left-back in the world. Are we all in agreement with that?
Yeah, well, he's got to be in the top 3 for most of his career.
I mean, I know it's England, but if anyone who plays 100 games for their national team at that level, at World Cups, at the Euros, surely, they're a good player.
If you took the, in his peak years, if you look at, say, the 2006 Italian team that won the World Cup, right? Of that entire back 4, the only one you would have swapped would have been Grosso.
Maldini.
Well, he wasn't in the team then. It was Zambrotta right back. Then you had Cannavaro. Nesta should have played, and he started, but then he got injured for Materazzi, so Materazzi came in, and then you had Grosso left back. But if you had, Zambrotta, Cannavaro, Nesta, and then Ashley Cole in that 2006 World Cup, that would have been one of the best defences of all time.
Yeah. The only. I think it was a bit before his time, but the only player I can even think that was a better left back, really, in modern history, was Vicente Lizarazu as well, and obviously that's
France.
Slightly before, but he's the only one I can. When you say about was Ashley Cole good at sort of his period of time, I think he's probably one of the best of the modern era of all time, to be honest. People say about Roberto Carlos, the guy was a shit left back. He could just hit a hell of a ball.
It was a Brazilian left back, wasn't
exactly,
he?
Yeah. I mean, there was so many, but not anyone. I don't think it's like you say, like Javier Zanetti or Philip Lahm. There aren't better players in the current era that were as good as them in their pomp. Even now, you'd still say Philip Lahm's one of the best in the world now. And I think Ashley Cole, as much as it pays to say him, you'd have to put him in that category.
And in terms of Arsene Wenger's transfer dealings, I would probably say, looking back in hindsight, that was probably one of the worst deals we've ever done. Getting shot of Ashley Cole and bringing in William Gallas, I would say, that's pretty high up there at the time. It was always going to be painful to lose a player like Ashley Cole, but when you think of the arseache that we got from Gallas going into it, I would have just taken the money. Why?
Did he have a choice, do you think? I mean, Andrew, you might know more on this than I do, but, there was the whole story of the swerving off the road quote and this, the weirdest thing with Ashley Cole is the older he's got, the less, or the easier it's got to not hate him, because the guy was an absolute grade 1 bellend for a number of years, and now he's just kind of irrelevant. So it's almost like you can look past the hatred now, but at the time, did we really have any choice but to sell a player who was clearly had his head turned by someone else?
I think if you, so I just touched upon a Liam Brady interview, and I can't remember exactly with the sources. I read it on the web the other day, but he certainly touches upon the point that it was kind of out of Wenger's hands, and actually the board were quite open to selling him. He doesn't, fully go into that much detail, and he's never really been a PR man for Arsenal, has he, Liam Brady? So I don't think, you can ever question him about being dishonest. But I think there's certainly some kind of allegation made, or not allegation, that's a strong word, but there's certainly some kind of theory to suggest that actually the board made the decision that Ashley Cole was going to be sold. Obviously I think his head was turned by Jose Mourinho, and, regardless of what Wenger could do, he was going to go. And whilst we sit here and criticise Gallas, for being a bellend, because he was, as an individual, a complete idiot. I think actually, if you look on talent alone, Gallas was an extremely competent centre-back. He was a very good defender who was one of those, he was the kind of Mertesacker defender, or the Cavalier, who would play alongside your Koscielnys or your Terrys, would hold the hand a little bit, could read the game, and he could, his understanding and his vision, I think, was excellent. It's just a shame that he went on to be made captain and then had that kind of, personal downfall.
Mentally unhinged.
He were, but if you look at the quality of defenders we had in the team at the time, we had players around him like Schillaci, Senderos, Djourou, we had, all sorts of shit. Gail Clichy, left back, was awful, and he was holding that defence together at some times. And I think one of the reasons, he had that, that real downfall was because he was, whilst he was an idiot, he was a pure winner, and he just wanted to win, and you could see how much it meant to him when we lost that game at Birmingham, when we had that leg break, and we could see how much it felt. And yeah, he was an idiot, and we were right to sell him when we did. But I think Wenger at the time probably felt as though he'd got a pretty good deal. He got some money off the back of it. He brought in someone who'd just been playing, some of the best football of their career. He was excellent for Chelsea. He was a regular in the French team that got to the World Cup final. But, we, as a team, Arsenal, I think, through those years, were a team, which were constantly in an existentialist crisis. And he kind of typified that, players like him, Marshavin, that we didn't need those kind of mentally weak players at the time. We needed leaders, which I'm afraid he wasn't. But I think, to criticise his ability would be a bit wrong. He was one of the better defenders we've seen in that era.
Oh, no, I don't think... Sorry, Danny, but I don't think anyone can criticise his ability. I would probably criticise his mental state. I mean, didn't he say to get out of Chelsea, he said, if you play me, I'm going to score an own goal or something like that? He had just acted like a petulant child. Moron.
And no defender can ever wear number 10 since Lothar Matthäus, and never should ever again. That was the ultimate insult, to take Dennis's shirt of all people, to think he was that good. But Andrew is spot on, for the record. As a football hipster stroke bellend, I can totally agree with what Andrew says. He was
shortage alert.
That's what people think of us Europhiles. But no, he was a fantastic defender, and I think if you had Jose Mourinho sat here now after you'd finished poking him with very sharp sticks, if you asked him who his best defenders were over the years, I think John Terry and William Gallas would be definitely in that list.
Definitely.
Well, I had it on very good authority. This is from someone who was a mate of mine who was talking to a recent England international, and this person was on international duty with Ashley Cole and was asking.
That's Adam Johnson, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't.
Outside the local crash cruising for toddlers.
Put that kid down.
No, this person is an Arsenal fan but never played for Arsenal, and he was talking to Ashley Cole about why did he leave, and he said it got to the point at Arsenal you had cliques, you had the Brazilians, you had the French, and then he said all I had to talk to was the young Theo Walcott and a couple of youth players. He said I didn't have anybody to talk to, and in the dressing rooms it just made it really awkward, and it was one of the reasons why he didn't want to stay anymore, is because he just got a little bit disgruntled with the number of foreign players coming. Not that he didn't like them, but just that, if you're not surrounded by your peers, then you're not going to really get on with it, are you?
So what you're saying is Ashley Cole is a UKIPper.
Not nonchalantly put, Danny.
And you have to say whatever anybody says when you're offered to double your money. Your head's going to be turned no matter who you are, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah, of course it is. We'll move on to a slightly nostalgic bit now. We've talked about the players that have gone on to achieve the most, which of course is very painful. But from a personal point of view, which player sales have hurt you the most? I mean, Kris, you'll probably say Freddie Ljungberg.
Oh, God, yeah. Although he was at the end, let's be honest, but yeah.
But Kate and Tom, you've been very, very quiet, so we'll start off with Kate. Kate, which of the player sales that you've seen since you supported the club has hurt you the most in terms of, I'm going to bloody miss him?
I don't know. You've got so many. You've got the Bergkamps, the Henrys, the Vieiras. I mean, I love Patrick Vieira, so probably him, I think.
Okay. Tom?
I'm going to go with Alex Song. When he left, it was a season when he was setting up Van Persie for those amazing goals with those passes, and he left in a time where we really, needed that defensive midfielder to stay, and we haven't really recovered from the loss until now when we've got Coquelin in. So, he would be my pick, 'cause I think he was such a loss overall in the team quality, what he added into our team, that he was my biggest loss.
See, when he went to Barcelona, I was sat there checking Twitter. I had to go onto Safari on my iPhone to check that they'd actually paid $15 million for him. I was doing naked cartwheels around the living room.
Well, that's how the Utes think, isn't it? It's amazing.
Yes, but I mean,
it's all perspective.
But it is a personal point of view. I mean, people are attracted to certain players. I mean, for me, when Thomas Rosicky finally leaves Arsenal, if that turns out to be this summer, I'll probably shed a little tear because love the guy.
Yeah.
Absolutely love the guy. But let's chuck the rest of you in on this then. What players have hurt you the most, Danny?
Well, I always talk about this on Twitter and get loads of grief. You don't call Henry and Vieira legends because they turned their back on the clubs. Vieira left in 05. His last kick was winning the FA Cup, the penalty. But for the whole of 03, 04 and 04, 05, all he did was bitch and whine and moan that he wanted to go. Henry the same. If you're a legend, look at Ian Wright, cried the day he had to leave. Freddie Ljungberg didn't want to leave. Who do we talk? Anders Limpar went into the office. He was crying when he
Pires as well.
Him, yeah,
Pires
Ashley Cole didn't want to leave, and all these other players that didn't really want to leave. But so it'd be Vieira and Henry, because if they'd have stayed at Arsenal, for me they would be legends right out there with Adams, Bergkamp, and Wrighty, and Parler and Keown and Seaman. But they're not, because they stabbed us in the back and fucked off. But then they come crawling back and go, "Oh, but I love the club," and silly fuckers go, "Oh well, of course you do. Well, then we forgive you." And no, you don't forgive them. You should have stayed forever.
Very well put in your slightly miserable tone.
Fuck 'em.
Andrew, you next. Which players have personally hurt you by leaving?
I mean, I remember when Vieira left, back in 2005, and there was an Arsenal Man U animosity was at its peak. Well, it's in its peak years. And I had Man United fans every day, constantly telling me, Vieira, he's shit, he's overrated, he's not the player you think he is, he's not good enough. And then come in and the next day, this Man United fans going, "Oh shit, I can't believe you just sold the best midfielder in the world for £13 million to Juventus. You lot are idiots." And I'm thinking, here we go. So that one really stuck out because we never replaced him. We've never replaced that midfield. Having Vieira in midfield was like having 3 or 4 central midfielders there. He was just an absolute beast of a player. He was a heroic leader. He used to grab the game by the scruff of the neck when we needed him to. But he also had class about him as well, didn't he, in his style of play. But I think the season where it really hurt the most was when we lost Fabregas, then Nasri in the same summer. I just remember when it was announced that Nasri had left after Fabregas. I was just sat there at work thinking, shit, it's happening again. And I think that was a low point as an Arsenal fan. Wenger had come out saying, if we sell both midfielders this summer, we can't convince people that we're a big club anymore. And lo and behold, both midfielders went and did one. So that was absolutely gutting. And we didn't really replace those two either. Obviously Arteta's done a good job, and Benayoun never really did much. And that was a pretty awful season. The next season, we were lucky to have Van Persie.
Benayoun for me, but sorry Andrew to cut you off. Benayoun for me, you can typify his one season with that game at Tottenham, when he was just phenomenal. And for me, that game alone justified his whole loan spell at the club.
Yeah, but it didn't replace Nasri, did it?
No, it didn't replace.
But I agree. And he did have moments. I think he scored the goal against West Brom away, which put us into the Champions League as well. And he's a fine and capable enough player. But you just remember, when that summer when we lost those 2 players, and then we went up to Manchester and got absolutely spanked, and we had the summer, the spending frenzy of bringing in crap like Santos. That was a real low point for me as an Arsenal fan that summer. And I think, a lot of Arsenal fans felt the same. And that was just bitterly painful because it felt like we were on the verge of a very good team there. I think Wilshire had just come through, Song was settled, Walcott was playing well. That midfield of, Song, Wilshire, Fabregas, Nasri, Walcott, Van Persie up front. You felt like if we had a couple of defenders, we weren't that far off of, I think we beat Chelsea 3-1 at home that season. We were looking good, and then, it all just fell apart for various reasons. And that's what really hurt. And it's taken us till now, I think, to get a good, a good midfield or a midfield of, equal, if not obviously better quality. But we've had a few seasons, we've had a few ropey midfield, Gervinho's, Walcott's not at their best. We're now I think, back where we are. And it's taken us quite a long time to recover from that summer. No,
very true. And finally, Kris.
I'm just going to chuck a couple of very quick names at you, and then I'll go with 2 controversial ones. The ones I miss, just randomly, I miss Edu. I loved him. I also miss I Heal Like Dog, just because he was fat and cuddly and cute and just lovely, Mr. Arshavin. I also really miss Eduardo. I always wonder just how good that guy would have been had he not had that injury, because he was mustard. He really was.
Best finisher since Robbie Fowler in the Premier League.
So good. That goal at Burnley when he turned on this side, and oh my word, what a finish. But the 2 I want to just bring up, which are really controversial, to be honest. Probably a lot of people will hate me for this, but Emmanuel Adebayor is one. Not because, the guy is clearly a bit of a twat. And I think his, we've seen what he's done since he's left Arsenal. He's taken a paycheck and fucked off. But just when we were getting something out of him, is when he turned his back for money, basically, at City. And I just wonder, under a manager like Arsene Wenger, I just wonder how good he could have been, because the talent was there. It was always the attitude. And I think the managers he's worked with since, ironically, other than Tim Sherwood, which I think he just kept him going with Bants alone.
It's Timmy time!
It's Timmy time. And basically, he let him do whatever the fuck he wanted, didn't he? Let's be honest. But I just wonder, under Arsene Wenger, how good he could have been. I'll say no more on him. But the only other one that a lot of people forget was a guy that didn't have the patience to wait around, and I still think he'd probably be in our midfield now, and that's Lassana Diarra. This guy was, when he broke into the side, yeah, indeed. When he broke into the side, he looked brilliant. He was almost like Flamini, but with technical ability. He chased around everything. He could play in a variety of positions. He was decent on the ball. He was a sort of an all-action, go-getting midfielder. He's almost like as close as you'd get to a young Makelele in that era. The only reason he really left was that he wasn't getting chances and he wanted game time. And I think he went to Portsmouth and Lokomotiv Moscow. I think he's a free agent now. I think West Ham were looking at him.
I think there was a link that we might have gone back in from in the summer for a free, but nothing ever materialised. And
So I think West Ham look. Yeah, he was at Real Madrid as well. Absolutely, and that was he was that good. I think they saw the Makelele in him. So he's another one that I just wonder had he have been a little bit more patient, because I think it was that summer that we shipped out somebody in that same position. I can't think who it was, but if he'd have just stuck around till the end of that season, I wonder how good he could have been. There's two random ones for you.
No, that's very good, Kris. No, I agree with them. Edu was another one. Free to Valencia, wasn't it?
Valencia,
Oh, fantastic. What a player he was. Right then, I know, Andrew, you want to do a bit about net spend, but before we go to you, we'll do that to round off this segment, because I know Danny wants to get off for the general erection.
He wants to get off on the general erection.
Yeah, he really does.
You bitches.
He needs to get it off the floor first.
Oh, covered in cat fluff.
Oh. Right then, and this is, I don't want a why, I just want one player to answer this question. Right?
You want a player to answer?
No, just go with this. What player we've sold would you want back at the club at his peak in this current team? Danny, seeing as you're the chopsy one.
Thierry Henry, that's what we need. Someone who can play a different game to Giroud and still get many, many goals.
Okay. Kate?
Thierry Henry.
Okay. Kris?
Oh, that's a hell of a question. We need a bit of build-up for that one.
I know. I've spent some time on the notes this week.
Yeah,
You're telling me,
I can see. How far back can I go? Can I go back as far as I want?
Since the beginning of time. Since 1886, my friend.
Cliff Bastard, no. I'll make Danny have a little smile. Tony Adams, just for what he brought. The whole package, just to be different.
Lovely stuff. You're really thinking outside the box.
Hold up. We never sold Tony Adams, so I'm not sure we can allow that.
All right, okay. If you can't, all right then, fine. Robert Pires.
No. That was mine.
Tom.
Okay, fine. All right, Tom can have Robert Pires, and I'll just bring Freddie back. Sorry.
We've had a rebuttal from Mr. Davies at 7:30 p.m.
Oh.
Santi grilling. Fuck, he could hit a cow's arse with a banjo. I'd be surprised.
Yeah, because Davies could fucking shoot from that distance. He couldn't even kick the ball that far.
Well, he plays rugby, doesn't he? Using the fucking length between them posts. Jesus,
you can't play rugby, mate. It's not a sport.
Egg chase.
Moving on.
Tom, you say Robert Pires.
Yeah, no. Sanchez on the right, Pires on the left.
Lovely stuff. Andrew, your player, and if you'd like to close this bit on net spend.
Sol Campbell. Obviously, if we're going on peak, I think that's what we're missing. One world-class centre-back.
Is that the black or the white Sol Campbell? Because apparently there's two now.
Yeah, or the politician Sol Campbell. It seems he wants to become an MP, and it's obviously a very pertinent topic. So yeah, take him. But I'm not sure what his policies would be like, especially on
just a quick one with the whole mobile phone incident. I always get mixed up. Was that Ashley Cole or Sol Campbell?
Cole.
Ashley Cole.
Okay, carry on.
Yeah, I mean, just bringing it back to so the original question which you asked, Gimli, was, is Wenger a genius in the transfer market? And I know net spend is one thing Arsenal fans like to fascinate over, and it's not something we need to talk about too much, but it's just, if you look at like the raw statistics, I looked at some statistics last summer, and we noticed that between, the years which Chelsea and, got all their money from 2003 until last summer, so those 10 summers, Arsenal only spent on average £6 million a summer. And if you bring it back to, and if you include this summer just gone and up until back till 1996 when Wenger first joined, he's only spent on average 6.9 million a summer. And if you think what you can get for 6.9 million in today's market, it's not much. When you think, we since Wenger's been Arsenal's manager, there's been we're only the 10th highest net spenders in the league. We're behind teams like Chelsea, Man City, Man U, Liverpool, Villa, Sunderland, Stoke, Spurs, and QPR. They've Sunderland, Stoke, QPR have all spent more than us in the last 10 years, which is pretty incredible when you think that we're the only team that have consistently finished in the top 4 in those years. So, I'm not going to sit here and say Wenger's a genius, because that's a very, very strong word. But to consistently come top 4 and spend less than those guys, and at 6.9 million on an average or something, you certainly have to doff your cap to the guy. I think he has, overall done the club very well.
Mm. No, here. Right then, that just about wraps up that segment. There was loads more to that, but we spent loads of time talking about the whole match and things around that. So, in a couple of weeks, maybe we'll bring it back and talk a little bit more about it. But as for now, we'll move it on because Danny wants to get away. So, Danny, if you want to give us the best of Facebook, Twitter questions, please.
Only Facebook. It's too early to get the Twitter ones. Sam Parsons. Were Chelsea Mourinho, their fans and the media, on their behalf, more offended by being labelled as boring than by being called a racist club by the PSG incident? Tom?
Sorry, can you say that again?
No. Anyone else hear it?
Yes, I did.
Go on then.
I think it's probably part of the course that they care more about being labelled as boring than racist. If you, Kate pulled it up in the group yesterday. Did you see? Of course, we all know about the passing of Rio Ferdinand's wife, and we pass as a podcast our condolences. I'm not overly,
as much as we hate the bloke playing for
exactly. Not overly keen on him.
3 kids
as a
and now
player.
without a mum.
Yeah, so, there is a life outside of football, and we have respect for people and their families. We understand that football to them is a job, and they are put in the spotlight, but no one wishes, to have that kind of vile abuse. And you always find it's the Chelsea fans that are sending this abuse. We've had, of course, the incident in Paris with not letting the gentleman on the train. They are disgusting as a fan base. Vermin, scum would be some of the names that I'd come out with them. And the fact, it just typifies it. The fact that they're more worried about being called boring than they are racist, vermin, scum, bottom feeders, nicking a living, fucking oxygen thieves. Any of the above.
They can chuck as much blood money as they want on that club, but they will always have the mentality of a mid-table Division 2 team of the 80s.
It's like, seriously, if they were on wacky races, they'd be the fucking Slag Brothers.
Okay, next question from Gavin Monan. Wenger said, see, I read that as Wenger even though I wrote it as a W. Wenger said that we're only interested in world-class players this summer. Can you suggest one option then for goalkeeper, centre-back, defensive midfielder and forward that we could realistically get? I'll ask one of each of you to pick one. So who wants to pick the goalkeeper?
Step out of that one.
Well, the goalkeeper. They've got a question about a goalkeeper in a minute, so we'll leave that one. Anyone want to answer what centre-back we can realistically get?
I'd have Jimenez from Atletico Madrid.
Oh, you wouldn't rather have Godin, who is, I think, a better
Godin's a great player.
He's
I think he's a bit old now, yeah. So Jimenez is like 20 years old, 21 next season. He's really, I know I'm doing a carpenter at the moment, but... But it's nearly 21, and I don't know if you saw a Vine, but there's this Vine where he literally launches his head in front of a shot just to block it, and just that desire in the back four I think we really need, so I'd have him.
Okay, anybody else want to pick a defensive midfielder or a striker?
Defensive midfield has got to be Schneiderlin. I know Dom's probably pulling his pecker as we speak now he's heard that name, but...
fucking hell, Kim, I fucking love him.
I fucking love him! But no, Schneiderlin for me. I'd like to see next season Coquelin and Schneiderlin battling it out. We've already spoken on this podcast about competition, breeding quality and improvement within the squad, and for me I don't think you could get much better with those two.
So does anybody want to pick a realistic striker we can get next season? Oh, maybe Mr. Carpenter.
I'm going to give John Welsh a semi. Everyone probably knows what I'm going to say, but Alexandre Lacazette. Please, the guy with
26 goals this season, is
26
it?
goals
Lyon?
this season, one of the highest assisters in Liga. He pretty much plays through the lines. At Lyon, he can play a variety of any of the three wide or forward positions. He's strong, he's quick, he's as close to a young Henry as I can remember seeing in my lifetime. I'm not comparing the two before anyone goes at me, but he very similar body shape, very similar movement, and he will get goals in the Premier League. If he goes to Man City, I might just take up tiddlywinks instead of football because I'll be gutted.
Paulo Dybala.
He's
That's
more of
another name.
Too young.
Yeah, he would.
Too raw, too expensive.
If you believe the rumours, the talk is that Juventus are going to get him, and if they don't, Chelsea will. If he goes to Chelsea, I will feel very upset. But
wasted.
Yeah, he's a huge talent. I don't think will be the
Stay
ones
at
that get him.
Palermo, please.
Oh, that's Gabbiadini, yeah, John loves him. He's another one from Napoli. I mean, Higuain wouldn't be the worst signing in the world. Obviously, it would be for Gav because he wouldn't be able to say his name. But I don't think Napoli are going to hold on to many of their stars this summer because obviously they're not in the Champions League, or it doesn't look like they're going to get there. They still might possibly, but it looks unlikely.
Is Higuain another one?
Higuain is that very one. I mean, you could go through the book. Fekir is another one at Lyon that a lot of people like. For me, he's not quite ready. He's not at that level yet. He's very inconsistent. But yeah, the only one I'll throw you as a complete curveball, who most of you probably will never heard of, is Rafa Guerreiro at Lorient. He's a Portuguese full international, scored in his Portugal debut. He's been far and away Lorient's best player this season.
Is it Leighton Orient?
Yeah, Leighton Orient. Yeah, Lorient. Yes, thank you. But yeah, you get him cheap.
Isn't he a wrestler?
No, you get him cheap. He's a big talent. Man City are looking at him as well. To get one up on City would be great. He probably wouldn't walk into our first team, but he'd definitely be a brilliant an addition, sort of on one of the flanks.
Kris, hipster, as in the hipster vote for you, Domenico Berardi.
Berardi, the lad on loan at Sassuolo from AC Milan.
Yep.
Yeah, again, I think he'd probably get goals if you put him in like an Everton or a Spurs. I'm not sure he's Arsenal quality, if I'm honest.
Fair enough. I just thought I'd chuck that one out there. Danny.
Next question is from Nicola Fielso. Fucking good luck with that. He asked two questions. So one is, would Handanovic from Inter Milan be a half decent player that we should look at?
God, no.
I mean, he's all right.
Oh, yeah, he's all right. Have you seen some of the clangers he's dropped this season? Jesus
Christ. Inter
Christ.
are mid-table for a reason. I mean, he's, if he was on a free and you've got no one else and he doesn't want to play every game, then he's not too bad. All right, one here from Nicola. Again, this could be for the Fifemeister. The last 2 years, our marquee signing has come from La Liga, the worst league in the world, I say. Who would you sign from La Liga this summer as our marquee signing?
Ooh.
If you say Bale, we have to give a Welsh warning.
Just going to say that.
Marco Reus.
James Rodriguez.
Was it from La Liga?
Yeah.
Sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
There's a surprise.
I just heard marquee signing.
How about, I want to make sure I pronounce this correct so it doesn't sound like I'm making an order, but Koke from Atletico Madrid.
Koke. K-O-K-O.
Okay.
I got that, Andrew.
He's off to Chelsea.
What, Isco?
Koke is.
Oh.
Yeah, they love it down that part of London. But no, Isco, if Cazorla did leave, Isco would be a fantastic replacement. Yeah. But I think, a little bit of midfield steel would be brilliant.
But I just hope there's no pictures of you and Koke in the toilets together at a nightclub, dancing away into the wee small hours.
He would give the team a real buzz,
He would.
A bit of fierce and energy.
I wanted to ask Kris something as well. We've all heard about a possible transfer embargo at Real Madrid. So if we were interested in Isco, where would that leave us? Because they wouldn't be able to buy or sell, would they?
I mean, it's very up in the air, this transfer embargo, because Barcelona have got similar, haven't they, this summer? The trouble is with Real Madrid and embargoes and basically any sort of laws or rules is that they often buy their way out of these problems. So I wouldn't put too much... pardon?
I'm trying to get the cat's attention. Hold on, I'm going to mute myself.
Did wonder what that was. Danny making pussy noises as usual. Yeah, I completely lost my train of thought here.
She's got a cone on her head and she's hidden in the kitchen where I can't... Wait, fuck face!
What?
She's got a cone on her head so she doesn't bite her stitches. Well, where's the gun? I'm going to get the gun!
Oh God!
Oh, go on,
Put
carry
yourself
on.
on mute for God's sake.
Oh, I didn't think of that.
Yeah, I don't. The transfer embargo thing, I wouldn't look too much into. Just as I say, I think they'll find a way out of it. They usually do. They've got a lot of money, and it doesn't make sense. But then saying that, Barcelona didn't. So I suppose. But as far as Isco goes, if I'm perfectly honest, I think they're more likely to sell Bale than they are to sell Isco. Sadly, I think United will be the ones that will take the jug-eared Welshman. But I don't know. I think Real Madrid will probably sell this summer because they always do. I just don't think Isco is the one. I would be more worried that we might go after Khedira, which I hope we don't, because I just don't think he would fit. He's far too slow for our style of play for a start, but he's on a free. It looks like Schalke are keen, so I think he would be on the off. And they might be looking to ship out Iralamendi as well, which I can never say.
No.
Who again, we've got Coquelin. I don't think we need another small defensive midfielder. I think we need somebody who's more box to box. So I can't see Isco moving on. The only
Is that a yes or a no then?
I'll say no, but I'll just chuck another name at you. Karim Benzema's one to watch.
Oh, he's my favourite. I've got him as an informed player on FIFA. He is world class.
He is class.
I love him.
I think the only way he'll leave Real Madrid, because Florentino Perez, their president, loves him, absolutely loves him. But if Edinson Cavani is available this summer, I could see him going to Madrid and Benzema being surplus. So
how about Diego Godin?
Tom mentioned it. Did Tom?
No, I did.
You mentioned him, yeah. He's class. I mean, he's quality.
He's the new Martin Keown. He's that ugly.
He's
got a monkey's head.
I think he's 33 now, 34 maybe. He's getting on a bit, yeah.
No, he's 29.
He looks like a Madame Tussauds waxwork that's been gone out by a blowtorch.
Is he really? Is he really 29, Andrew?
He's 29. Yeah, he's 29.
His face is all melty.
Got any monkey nuts?
I don't think he would move, but if he did, I'm not sure. He would suit Chelsea because he's an absolute cunt. He would suit Chelsea, but
he's only just gone 29 as well, Mr. Carpenter.
Well, there you go. I was wrong. He does look old, doesn't he?
What about Otamendi?
You're just making shit up now, aren't you?
He's going to Man United by all accounts, by the sounds of it. Which is a shame because he's another one very, very good. But yeah, to answer your initial question all the way back, I don't think Madrid will sell Isco, and I think there are other options they'll look to shift way before him, and Bale's probably the chief one of that lot.
Okay, it'll be a swap deal with De Gea.
De Gea, yeah, that's what I've got.
100 million for a goalkeeper. Just shows how fucked football is.
Yep.
Right, Danny, do you want to do a few more and then we'll move on to shout outs?
Okay, I'll give this one for Kate. Barca are sniffing around Hector Bellerin. Why don't we put a massive buyout clause on our best players to scare off Real Madrid and Barcelona? Works for the Portuguese clubs. Why don't we do that, Kate?
Do you know, I don't know. Maybe we're not as greedy as some of them bigger clubs, but that's where we've gone wrong, I suppose. To be honest, I've never really thought about it. It's quite an interesting question, but
I think it's built into every player's contract in Spain. They have to have a release clause. It's usually about 250 million. I'm not sure if we're allowed to do that. Does anyone know if we're allowed to do that over here?
I was going to say, it's not a done thing in this country, though, is it?
Yeah, I think there's rules about that, and there's commercial rights as well that they've got to build in. This happens a lot in Serie A as well, with joint ownership.
Oh, I have this one then, Kate, from Dave Griffin. Not sure if he's any related to Peter Griffin, who I love. I watched an episode of that the other day, and they were doing a Back to the Future one, and they had Michael J. Fox come out and go, I want to tell you about the future. He went, I think I need to tell you about your future, son. And I think he may well have said it in that episode.
You remind me of Peter Griffin a bit, actually.
He did.
Yeah.
I was thinking
my child is also a retard, which is good. Right, Kate, have this one. If Wenger picks an out-of-form Szczesny for the FA Cup final and he drops a clanger, but I'll add to the word bollock.
What do you mean
do we blame Blenga? Do we blame the player or the manager?
the manager for playing him in the first place.
Would you play him?
Nope, I'd play Ospina because I'm less nervous when the ball comes near Ospina than what I am when Szczesny is on the pitch. And I think Ospina could deal with set pieces better than what Szczesny can.
There you go, wise words from there. Right, this one can go to Kris, as it's from Natasha, And everyone's favourite boring girl.
Natasha Nunes, yes.
I have a very unpopular view. Oh, I like those. And we don't need a goalkeeper. Ospina is fine. Warshek is not the shit keeper everyone thinks he is. Neither do we need a striker. We have more than enough goal-scoring options. I'd go for a backup CDM and perhaps another centre-back. Everyone seems to think we need a big name in our team. We don't. We make stars. We don't buy them, remember. So what do you think to that, Chris? And then, Tom, you can answer it as well after.
I think Natasha is 100% correct. Absolutely bang on the money. I'm with you, Natasha, 100%. I think that, like she says, it's the unpopular view because everyone is saying, and actually, funnily enough, I have to call the Reverend out on this. Yes.
Not the Reverend.
Dun, dun,
Reverend,
dun.
I'm calling you out, Reverend. Mr. Reverend Raj brought up that mythical creature that Dom wrote a very brilliant blog on the last podcast. And I believe he asked Mr. Jeff Arsenal if we could go after the 25 to 30 goal a season striker. And I nearly threw my iPod at the floor. I was like, Dom will be shitting kittens. Because
he's known for shitting kittens.
He is. Because I don't even think that's possible. But
Dom's magical. This pod is shit without him. I don't know if anyone's noticed.
Carries us all, to be fair.
I think I should just give up because Dom's not on.
Carries us all. But no, I think Natasha's bang on. I'm happy with what we've got up front. Don't get me wrong. If a quote unquote world class centre forward becomes available, then we'd be absolutely mad not to go. And if you could turn back the time, and we could have got the bitey wretch at Barcelona, then we probably would have won the league this year. Let's be honest, but we didn't. So if somebody else like that comes available, then we'd be mad not to. But I'm happy with the goalkeepers. I would like a backup if Szczesny's sold. I don't think he's a lost cause, but his career has gone backwards, and I think a move will be what he needs to get back on board. And yes, defensive midfielder, obviously, to either compete or play with Coquelin is very much a must, has been for a year. And I still think we need another centre-half because I think we need to get Callum Chambers out on loan. He needs to play games, and if we're going to let one go, we definitely need to bring one in, unlike this season, obviously, where we worked out that didn't quite work, did it?
No. While you were telling your life story, I've just caught up with the WhatsApp group, and Reverend Raj has called Davies and Mr. Hullenfrund Monglingtons. So there you go. Mr. Canton, any wise words to add to this? Or were you not listening as usual?
Completely agree with Chris. The only thing I'd say is that I really want a wide forward player as a marquee
fat
signing.
Like Mickey Quinn, fat, wide?
Somewhere.
Oh,
Taylor Fletcher, please. I'll have Taylor Fletcher online. No, I think, and me and Dom agree on this for a pretty rare thing at the moment, but Thomas Muller is a player that we think would win us the league easy if we got him. So, yeah, unlikely, but I'd have it.
Okay, right. We've got one more question here from Dave Pledger. Dave to his mates. It says, "Hi Jace, do you think..." because he sent these to Facebook. "Hi Jace, you tit." He didn't put that, but I'm just adding that in. "Do you think it was a bad move selling Benicophobe for £2 million and keeping the postman who couldn't hit a cow's arse with a banjo? Think Benic was scored over 30 goals this season." So Jace, what do you think of that?
Who's
I think
Jace?
fucking bollocks. Absolute crap. You're talking shit. Move on.
Yeah, fair enough. There you go. All right then. And there's.
I didn't mean that at Dave, by the way, in case he takes offence.
Yeah,
Just fuck off, Dave.
I'm still disappointed we've not had anything from John Louise Ballbag or whatever his name is.
Michael Ballbag.
Michael John Ballbeck. Yeah.
Michael John Ballbeck.
Harry to his mates.
He's gone shaven now. He looks like two nuns in an igloo.
Danny, would you answering that question seriously? Do you think, because I personally don't at all, I think Phobos,
not at all.
He's found his level, hasn't he, in the Championship? That's his level.
He'll be a 20-25 goal a season, made man for the Championship. Wolves almost came up because they were just a smidgen away from the playoffs, because I do like my lower league football. In fact, I'd rather watch the Championship playoffs than watch the two Champions League semi-finals. That's how much I hate the Champions League. And he will score goals there. I think maybe in a couple of years' time someone will take a punt on him in the Premier League, a Stoke or a Sunderland, 4 or 5 million quid. He'll fuck it up and end up being loaned back out to the lower level. But yeah, he's definitely found his level there.
I think he's very much a Bobby Zamora, isn't he?
Yes.
Put him in the Championship, we'll score you 30 goals a season. Put him in the Premier League, wouldn't even get 10.
And even if he does get into the Premier League at some point and he scores 10, 15 goals, he'd probably get more games for the team he plays for in the Premier League than he ever would at Arsenal. And fair play to Arsene Wenger. You know, he likes to give young players a career. He doesn't like to kill them, in his words. So, you know, fair play to him. He's let the guy go and have a career, whereas he could have just left him in the reserves like Chelsea do to rot and never have a career. So fair play to him.
I think what you've got to remember as well, Kris, is that at Arsenal you've got top quality coaches looking over at him day in, day out.
There's a reason they don't go, isn't there?
Yeah, exactly. The Arsenal aren't stupid enough to let someone go for $2 million that's going to come back in 5 years' time and bite their ass.
Apart from David Bentley.
who now owns a bar in Spain, and
isn't it?
Yeah, that's his living.
Yeah.
Bless his socks.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Some say he never recovered from tipping water over Harry Redknapp.
Oh, yes. And you can't keep all your kids, can you? You know, you can't keep... I mean, Raheem Sterling left QPR. Liverpool took a punt on him. Look what he's become. You can't...
If you own a cult.
Well, yes, you can. Or if you own a massive box. Or if you have Adam Johnson's house. But other
that's your mate Adam who lives next door, isn't it? That's not the bloke
I was
going to
say other libelous news can be offered on other podcasts. Yeah. But no,
we think it's all trumped up charges in case the solicitors are listening.
We do, it's rubbish. But no, you can't keep it. You can't keep all the kids forever. And Dan Crowley will be the next one that's interesting. You know, will he get the chance Jack Wilshere got, or will he not?
Better do.
Do you know the only one I missed that we didn't play, or we didn't give a chance to? Henry Lansbury.
Yeah,
I
he
really
was on the verge to a move to Burnley in the summer in the Premier League, but they bullshitted him at Forest and said, no, we're going to get Pele to come and play for us. And he stayed, and it was a shit season.
He was a proper Arsenal boy as well.
I never understood that one, because he was just starting to get goals for the England under-21s, and everyone was looking at him as if to go, do you know what, he could be something good here, and then it's like, nope, $2 million to Nottingham Forest, goodbye.
Yeah. He had foul.
I can move this shit on, because I've got stuff to do.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Hashtag erection. Are you done with the questions?
I'm done with them forever. Never send any questions in ever again.
I'll give you a mention. Rapping. Right. Predictions then for Swansea at home. Danny, I'm going to start with you.
I am going to say it's going to be another slobber knocker, 4-1.
Okay. And just first scorer?
Who would it be interesting to... I think we're coming up to this point in the season when you get more players getting a run. So, I mean, getting the odd game as a substitute. Actually, I'm going to go Super Jackie W.
Okay, fantastic. Andrew? No, checking his dong again.
He's on the cocaine.
Kris?
I'll go for back-to-back predictions because I called Hull right. I'll say 3-1 again. And I'll say... I'll back Ollie G to bag one first.
Okay.
Sorry, I was on mute there.
Are you eating?
No, I was just on mute.
You know, only the Rev is allowed to get away with eating on a podcast, and that's because he's a man of the cloth.
What was Chris's prediction? Because I'm typing it out.
3-1 Giroud.
Go, Mr. Fife!
Well, I just said to myself, depressed, 3-1 Sanchez.
What a wonderful day. All right, 3-1?
Yeah.
Okie dokie. Kate?
I am going 3-1 and Flip-Flop's favourite player, Santi.
That's three of you that have gone for 3-1.
Yeah, well,
I'm going to clean up this week.
3-1 Santi, Gimli, go on.
Tom?
2-0 Sanchez.
Oh, you're an arsehole. I was going to put that one. I'm going to go...
Actually, I'm changing mine to Ozil because I just realised there's no chance. We're going to be 3-0 up before Jack comes on.
I'm going to go 2-1 Alexis. Definitely. Right then, shout-outs, and I'll kick off this week. My only shout-out is A.A. Baliga, who is at AABALIGA. Basically, in a nutshell, we've put the donations page up this week. And
give us £1 million.
He did. He gave us £1 million, and now we can afford to pay for our SoundCloud for the year. So
Chris is getting a boob job.
Yeah, Chris is
haven't reduced, you mean? Yeah.
Chris is getting a boob job. So
Akshay is his name, isn't it?
Yes, it is. For all of you guys who are listening to this on SoundCloud, go and give him a follow, because next year, if it wasn't for him, you wouldn't be bloody listening to it on SoundCloud. He sent us a lovely message, so we'd like to thank him, but not just him, but all the others who have spared their hard-earned dollar.
Both others.
Both others.
You tight-fisted fuckers. Every fucking week we do this shit, and what do we get? Fuck all.
Free! You never get any money for this.
Abuse.
We take time out of it, and all you can do is sit there and go, donation page, fuck them.
If I ever go to a game and I don't get mobbed with cake, I'm going to tell you, my gruntled will be very distant.
Mini cheddars, cake, and warm Lucasade.
Oh, not flat warm Lucasade though, because I've been conned by that before. Too salty.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, so basically, it's up to you guys to keep this pod going. We do it for free every year. We don't mind taking time out to do it, but all we ask for is that we have expenses, as in posting on the website. We like to keep our kit up to date to make sure that you have the best possible sound quality, and we have other things to pay for and other expenses. So, you don't have to donate loads, even if it's just a quid. A quid puts you in for something that you could possibly win a match issue shirt. So go onto the website.
They get the choice of Jenkinson or Miyachi. This is player issue shirts, maybe not match worn. We can rub them in the mud if you want and then pretend they are match worn.
Yes. Chris can put them on when he plays for the Pirates, then it'll be match worn.
I'll give it a little rub on my undercarriage if you want.
Oh,
Wept.
Well, that's a way to kill the donation straight away, isn't it? People are paying not to have the prize.
That's not mud, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh.
This mud has got peanuts and corn in it.
Oh my.
Is that a husk off of a pea?
It's got some sesame. Those sesames do go straight through me.
Oh, everything goes straight through you.
Hello.
Podcast has gone to shit.
Oh, literally. So, yes, if you want to donate, we'll be putting things up on the podcast Twitter. We're not going to bombard you with it because, like I said, it's entirely down to you. If you want to donate. If you can't afford it, no hassle, somebody else will. So, yeah, just go to the website and all the details will be on there. But I think
we get about 6,000 downloads a week, between 6,000 and 7,000. So if all of you give us £1,000 each, you wouldn't have to do this anymore. We could just retire.
Yeah. We could all just go.
So if you hate us, pay us and we'll go the fuck away.
Exactly. I want to live in Spain. Perfect day over there. Wake up, sit in a garden chair by the side of the road, chuck a donkey off a tower block. Nice little sleep in the afternoon. Bed.
Yeah.
Happy days. Right.
Go to our website, have a look at the donate page. There's a link to Chris's stuff and to ours.
Also, I must shout out the Riders of the Night as well, who have a song out on iTunes at the moment. Go and check it out and download it.
Good old Arsenal.
Exactly. It's an FA Cup song. So do your bit for something Arsenal. Get this song up there in the charts. Have it on your phone, your tablet, whatever device you choose, but download it.
And the most important thing is it goes to Bob Wilson's daughter who passed from cancer, Willow, and it's the Willow Foundation, so all profits go to them. I think it's only 69p because most stuff on iTunes is, and we're currently, I say we because we all like them, I think we're 92nd in the charts, so, and if you just go and get it, even if you don't listen to it, just go and buy it, support the Willow Foundation because it's a Bob Wilson one was in goal for us when we did the double.
Exactly.
And if you've ever, I've met Bob once, and he's a lovely, lovely man with very warm, big hands.
Yes, so, don't just do it for the Riders of the Night. Do it for Arsenal and Bob Wilson. And my final plug is for @the_Bergie_blogs on Twitter. That's where you can get all the latest blogs, all the latest updates. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be posting over summer because we're keeping our content off over summer. However, there's going to be a few more blogs coming out before the end of the season, so go and check them out. And Jeff Holland is a fucking charming geezer. Right, so anyway, back on track, Danny.
Nah, I think the ones you've done are more than enough. Fuck the rest of them.
All right, and one more, actually, the Art of Football, who are also donating us, and they are at the-art-football. They're going to be sending
us...
us...
dash, or do you mean underscore?
Dash.
Fair enough.
So they are going to be sending out some shirts for us to auction off. If you go and look at my Twitter page, you'll see exactly what shirts we'll be getting. So go give them a follow, and all good. So
do they do 5XL?
Yes, they do.
All right then, otherwise they would be dead to me.
Okay. Kate?
I have just but one shout out this week, and it's for our very own podcast Love God, Dom. Not Andrew this time, Dom. Who is, what is he?
Ripper.
Is he Ozgooner 49, is it?
Ozgunner.
49, yeah, that's the badger.
No, OZGOONER 49.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he gets my shout out because I've had a bit of a back problem from standing at work.
Was it me?
He diagnosed my problem today.
You've been carrying Gimli for 3 years. I know you're feeling I've got the same bad back.
I'm going to say I'm actually very gentle.
Oh dear! But he did diagnose my little problem. So hopefully it will now get better. So thank you, Dom.
She's now got the cream and everything.
What
Chris?
did he diagnose me with, Gimli?
Wasn't it?
Keep it clean.
Some
Gingivitis.
tits, wasn't it?
What was known in the industry as big titty syndrome.
Big titty syndrome. Basically, she's got massive fucking wongers, and they're weighing her down.
You've got 3 big tits and one of them's ginger.
She could breastfeed a creche.
Oh, shut up!
We don't go to that level on this podcast, Gimli.
We do.
Retract your previous statement.
Andrew's getting hard.
Okay, Chris.
Well,
This pod needs parental advisory guidance.
it really does, doesn't it? Yeah. This is going to be material for Raj for months.
Get on with it.
Right, I'm going to be greedy. I've got 3 quickies.
Oh, for
I'll do them really
fuck's
quickly because I promised all 3 of them.
Shame we didn't do the rest of the pod really quickly.
Sorry. Well, you know me, I break the rules. Right, well, at Barbie Pirates, if you want to follow us, by the way, at Barbie Pirates FC, sorry. 3 ladies, at Kelly Mayer. I love Kelly to bits. We talk on a regular basis. She's at Kelly_Mayer. She's in Canada.
M-A-H-E-R.
Indeed, yes.
It's not even a real country anyway.
Anyway.
Boom. Catherine at COYG Gooners. Oh, sorry, COY Gooners Girl. Catherine is in Chicago, Illinois.
You're right this time. Well done.
She's also very pleasant and has offered to help me out with some editing on my website, which is very kind of her. So thank you, Catherine. Obviously a Gooner. And the final one is at FazJack_Deborah, which is Deborah Jackson. She's in Alabama, USA.
She's a granny.
She's a granny, and she's lovely. She always has very kind words to say about the podcast and piratical stuff. So she's a gem. So there you go. There's my 3.
And she's bought the equipment to be on the radio show when you finally let new people on next season.
Oh, do you want me to address that very quickly in case people have forgotten? Or
Go for it.
Okay, basically, what's happening with the radio, guys, is that we're not ignoring your tweets. I promise you.
No,
we're not. We're sticking with the crew we've got just till the end of the season because
unless any of them die.
Unless any of them die or have AIDS or anything.
Yeah, shot.
Or shot, yeah.
For not getting on with it.
But Tom does an excellent job on the Instagram, which I'll plug for you as well, Tom. John Welsh is my hipster buddy. Gim and Kate, I think you're coming on, aren't you, this week? Is it
I believe we're going to be coming on Monday, aren't we?
Splendid, yes indeed. So we shall book you on. And we've got Tim in South Africa as well as Danny, OG and OJ. So that's our team.
Not all on the same
Not all on the same pod, no.
No.
That's our team at the moment because basically it makes life easier on me. Whereas over the summer I can road test people, we can test their equipment, check they're all up to speed and everything, and we can give them plenty of time over the summer to have a chat to us. And then that way we've got an elite team to go into next season with where we're hoping to give a debut to one person every month. So that's what we're going to look to do forward. So to Akib, I know is mentioned, obviously Deborah, there's somebody else who I'm forgetting who I've completely forgotten, but
Ellis Mel.
Ellis Mel, yes. There's the guy who has the
Why does
the
he
face?
smell?
He's a smelly Ellis Mel.
What's the chap called with the philosopher's stone face as his
Harry Potter.
No, he is in Eastern Europe.
He is. What's his bloody name?
Tom.
That's right. It is
Tom Rev.
Tom Rev, that's the badger. So there's quite a few people that have asked if they wouldn't mind coming on, and I know a couple of the bloggers are going to be on, which Gim, I think you know a bit about as well.
Yep.
We're going to be doing a blogger special radio show at some point as well. So to all those people that have asked to come on the radio show, we're not ignoring you, but it'll probably be next season when we'll get one of you on a month.
It's only because we've got 4 more to go.
Yes.
If there was more, then you'd probably change it and do others.
And I'm far too busy doing nothing.
Yes.
And I could also exclusively reveal for an end-of-season podcast, Mr. Sexual Chocolate is back. FK is going to be on our end-of-season special. It's confirmed. It's booked, mother trucker.
Oh, my God, I'm moist.
Okay. Andrew.
Hello.
Shout out. Get with the programme, dickhead.
Hello.
He's got enough money to have you killed for that and still bribe the judge to get away with it.
My
Pay me, I'll kill myself.
Jesus, you two don't half go on, do you? It's erection night, and I've got some erection banter. So no, daily. So I was obviously keeping up to date with the election news on my trading terminal today. Shout out to that. But for some more informal opinion, I took to Twitter and literally howled with laughter, which brought much amusement to a large finance floor. At Daily AFC's tweet today made me laugh. He put, just seen a lad leaving the polling station in a half Labour and Conservative scarf. Wouldn't have happened in my day. # against modern voting. That gets my vote because that made me crease. It's on over 1,000 retweets, so I doff my cap.
Did he really have that scarf?
No, I think it's just taking the piss about, the whole against
the football scarves.
Against modern football. # AMF. Yeah, and that literally had me howling. So there you go. That's my shout out for the week. Done.
He leads a simple life.
You never know. There's no pricks that wear scarves. You could have one. Them dickheads with their fucking half and half scarves. I'd strangle you with one half and beat you with the other.
Get off the fence, Danny. Tell us how you really feel.
Tom.
Unless you're under 14.
Tom, wrap this shit up.
Okay, Chris mentioned it, but the Instagram, go follow it. It's _Bergkamp _Wonderland. And my only little shout out to Dom, who the advice he gave me when I was coming on was, don't fuck it up. That's all he said. So
typical.
He's not on it.
He actually
He's not on
did,
it taking over. Everyone's talking about the Australian fucking immigrant.
Don't fuck it up, you great galah. Kate, I understand you've got something brief to say.
Yes.
Goodbye, hopefully.
No. Just quickly. I was
Vote UKIP?
No, my latest spot was being in work, because I people spot when I'm in work because I have nothing else to do. And my latest spot yesterday was a full kit wanker. Right. Now, this isn't... No, it wasn't you, Chris. Well, unless you've changed teams. No, I was merrily stood on my till, twiddling my fingers, and there was a man in there. And now, not to offend anyone in a wheelchair, Danny, however, he was there.
Danny! Just because you've got guttering on yours, it doesn't mean you have to fucking tar everybody else with the same brush.
I'm going to black up, no one will know it's me.
Anyway, no, because you look like Mr. T if you did that. Anyway, he was there, and he had Chelsea jogging bottoms, Chelsea tracksuit top, Chelsea shirt, a Chelsea baseball cap, and to top it all off with full kit wankerism, he had... do you remember back in the 90s when it was cool to have that full cover spoke on your bicycle wheels? He had one of them with the Chelsea emblem on it.
Did you set fire to him?
No, because I was in work. There was lots of butane gas and lighters around, but I wasn't allowed. But
they can't run away.
That's true. But
was he a racist?
That's taking it too far.
She does she does work at the top of a hill, though, Danny. He could escape very easily.
Could do. Those speed bumps, though. Fucking banging them up. Highbury Hill, Jesus Christ. I've had at least 3 people die pushing me up and down that fucker.
Right, so I think we'll end it on that note then. So that was a Bergkamp Wonderland podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and happy St. Totteringham's Day, you cheeky monkeys.
Go and vote for the UKIP, yeah?
Can I go and watch a programme on sharks now?
No, fucking bite, you bastards.
Oh.
Are we done now?
Yeah.
Bunch of socialists.
Racist.
I voted Lib Dem, actually.
That was well over 2 hours, wasn't it? Raj is going to absolutely shit himself.
It's your first one
I don't know
back.
where they're getting the idea from. Anything they say, I'll give a fuck about. There's 107 podcasts, most of which are 2 hours. We're never changing then. We're not going to now.